Let's get peppy. Welcome to PEP 232. That's Planet Extra Podcast. I'm Chancellor Shithouse, a host of Planet America on ABC Australia, and this is an official podcast of the ABC. So say hi to the Ombudsman for me. On PEP, we cover all the stuff that's too nerdy for TV. If you're listening, you can find us on YouTube at the PEP with Chaz and Dr. Dave channel, and you can find highlights there too as well. And we're on Facebook at the Chaz from Planet America channel, and you also find timestamps and show notes in our blurb. And if you leave a comment under our current episode video, we're likely to see it. You can also tweet us or blue sky us at PEPCHASDRDAVE. That's at PepChaz Dr. Dave. If you want to chat to some fellow peppers, you can join our Discord server. It's on the screen now or in the blurb of the podcast. But if you want to contact me or Lockie the Lackey privately, why not email us? The address is producer@pepthepodcast.com. The address again is producer@pepthepodcast.com. I'm not going to make any excuses, but you know, I didn't have much time to read the emails in the last 2 days. I didn't have time to scratch my butt in the last 2 days. I've been on PEP duty for the last 4 straight days. Oh my God, I'm so tired. And don't forget to subscribe for all that peppy goodness. It all helps. And we are recording this at 2:30 p.m. on actually it's 2:52 p.m. now on Friday. It's getting late. See you on Saturday morning. Also on the East Coast, that'll be 12:52 a.m. on the Friday. I'm starting to get good at that. But for now, let's turn to the man who'll never raise his stakes and inconsequential views. It's Dr. Pepper himself, Dr. David Smith!
Thanks very much. And before I introduce myself, can I ask, did you spend Saturday mornings as a child going to real estate auctions?
Oh, because of my voice?
Yes.
My dad was a real estate agent.
Well, he has passed the gift on of auctioneer voice.
It's getting faster and faster, isn't it?
It is getting faster and faster.
Yes.
So I am David Smith. I'm an associate professor at the US Studies Centre at the University of Sydney, but I do not speak for either of those institutions. I only speak for myself in PEP. In fact, I've got something to say to one of those institutions, which is the University of Sydney. University of Sydney, on oval number 2, which is the rectangular field where soccer and rugby is played, one of the crossbars is not straight. It is lopsided. How are you allowing this to happen? I walk past this every day, and look, I'm not OCD, but this really, really bothers me. Please fix the crossbar, whoever has the power to do so. Maybe whoever it is that lives in that weird cottage between the two ovals. Please David, that's how upset I am.
Dave's so angry.
Please
destroy the mic.
Fix the crossbar.
That was a community service announcement from Dr. David Smith. We had the white flash for a little Lockie roadie moment. It was like a Formula One. He just jumped out, and he's got sponsorships all over him, and it took him like 8 seconds.
That's why we can't show him, unfortunately.
Dave,
he just loves wearing corporate logos.
What are you grateful for?
I am grateful for The Onion.
The Onion?
Yeah. Now, there's been a lot of talk during the second Trump presidency about the importance of comedy, and especially the importance of comedians who really take it to the Trump administration. So there's been a lot of talk about South Park, a lot of talk recently about Jimmy Kimmel. Look, in my view, The Onion just consistently outdoes them all by a long way, and outdoes them completely fearlessly at a fraction of the cost. And really, there's just no way that the administration, as far as I'm aware, is even capable of threatening The Onion. And that's why The Onion can do things like having headlines about Trump can't quite remember where he knows Prince Andrew from. That's why they can do things like the trailer they put out today for a 20-minute mockumentary called Jeffrey Epstein, Bad Pedophile. Look, no one else can do it like them. They have been doing it for about 6 presidential administrations now, and they have just never dropped off in quality. So I am very grateful for The Onion.
If you love fine comedy like The Onion, I can only imagine how much you must love Greg Gutfeld. That's next week's Grateful. There was never any doubting, Dave, what I was going to be grateful for this week. And in fact, I'm a little bit surprised that you didn't get in there first, because we didn't coordinate, and I honestly would have put my house on the fact you would have brought this, because this is as Dave Smith as it gets.
Right.
Have you seen the Trump Epstein statue?
Yes.
How is this not your grateful?
That was fantastic.
This is your official podcast, folks, for Shithouse statues. Both Dave and I love them, but
Yes.
especially Dave loves them. We got beauty here for you. Have a look at the statue, the Epstein statue. This popped up in Washington, D.C. this week. I believe it's already been taken down.
It's a
4-meter statue of Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump frolicking, flouncing. I'm not sure what verb you'd use, but they're hand in hand and they both have one leg in the air and one hand in the air. And they're holding hands with the other one. It's made of foam and wire, but painted bronze to look statuey. There are 3 plaques, if you see there on the bottom. You can see 2 of them clearly. There's the third one there below it. Thank you, Lockie. The main plaque reads, "In honor of Friendship Month, we celebrate the long-lasting bond between President Donald J. Trump and his closest friend, Jeffrey Epstein." And then it's obviously quoting the card, the birthday card. Voiceover, "There must be more to life than having everything." Trump insists that he didn't sign that card, but it's following him everywhere, even on statues. The other 2 plaques are quoting the birthday card as well, Dave.
Yes.
You got one that reads, "Jeffrey Epstein, nor will I, since I also know what it is. Yes, we do, come to think of it. And as a matter of fact, it was clear to me the last time I saw you." So that makes absolutely no sense unless you know the 50th birthday card of Jeffrey Epstein.
That's right.
It's,
And remember, this was the dialogue that J.D. Vance likened to Robert Frost's poetry.
it really is high quality when it's on a statue at least.
Yes.
And the third plaque reads, "Donald J. Trump." And then the other part of the conversation. "Yes, there is, but I won't tell you what it is. We have certain things in common, Jeffrey. Enigmas never age. Have you noticed that? And a pal is a wonderful thing. Happy birthday, and may every day be another wonderful secret." And then it's got Trump's signature. So that also makes no sense unless you know the birthday card. But the key here, Dave, before I let you go on this statue.
Yes, yeah.
I unleash you on this statue is the likenesses, of course. This is what makes every shithouse statue shithouse. And this, Dave, is apparently the face of Donald J. Trump. That face there.
Look,
Brilliant work.
it is incredible.
I like to think of that face that you're looking at there, Dave, as a bit of a tribute to Charlie Kirk, because he's got Trump's face just a bit too small for his head.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts, Dave?
Look, I actually wanted to say something about Charlie Kirk here because
Yeah?
there are
What's
2 Oklahoma legislators who have proposed a bill. I mean, it's probably just attention seeking, but they've proposed a bill that every university in Oklahoma, maybe every public education institution in Oklahoma, would have to create a Charlie Kirk Memorial Plaza
Yes.
that would feature one of 2 statues of Charlie Kirk. It would either have to be him sitting opposite an empty chair, I suppose, symbolizing his debate mode, or him holding his children.
Yes.
And universities would have to build this or forfeit 1% of their budget. Their designs would have to be approved by the Oklahoma legislature. There'd be criminal penalties for defacing the statues. Now, even if this was intended as a kind of touching tribute to Charlie Kirk rather than as the performative wankery that it actually is, I would really caution against this. I would advise the authors of this bill to do a world tour of statues and see what most of them actually turn out looking like.
Yes.
And then just imagine, what are they actually going to make your boy Charlie Kirk look like? They're not going to make him look like that.
No.
Take a look at the Laurie Daley statue in Bruce Stadium in Canberra. That is what they are going to look like. Something like that, or like the Trump statue, or worse. So, some horrible crossbreed of them, especially since they're going to have very little time to do this.
Yeah.
they're not going to have huge budgets to do it because these state universities are not rolling in money, and they're doing it under the threat of losing their budget. They're probably going to commission the same guys who made the Trump Epstein statue to make these statues. What I would say is, if you actually want to honor Charlie Kirk's memory, for God's sake, do not do this, because future generations won't even know who the hell that is. Yeah.
And instead of prove me wrong, it'll be prove thy look wrong.
Yes.
That's what it'll be. I feel sorry for the baby, for the Kirk baby being immortalized in a crap statue.
Yeah.
That baby didn't do anything to deserve this.
Yeah.
It's just unfair. That is fair to bring that up, Dave. But just to finish off, going back to the Epstein statue for a second, the White House, I did search high and low to find the White House comment about this, because I just want to know just how flattered they were by that awesome statue. And the White House comment was, Democrats, the media, and the organization that's wasting their money on this statue knew about Epstein and his victims for years and did nothing to help them, while President Trump was calling for transparency and is now delivering on it with blah, blah, blah. This is boring. I'm going to stop reading that. But that statue is not boring. It gave me lots of pleasure. So thank you, bad artists. You just keep on delivering.
You do.
Well done. Look, while we're here, I might as well do first update Epstein, hey?
Yep.
Epstein update. There's been a few quick stories, which I can just go through very rapidly. Number one, Bloomberg obtained a Yahoo email cache. I'm assuming those emails weren't from the last decade or two. They're Yahoo emails.
Wow.
Yeah, a Yahoo email cache of 18,000 emails, Dave. 18,000 emails that include a lot of emails between Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein. And what do you know? Surprise, surprise, Dave. It appears that they were closer than Ghislaine Maxwell claimed when she was talking to Todd Blanche.
Wow.
I know, right? Ghislaine Maxwell might have been dishonest. I wish I had a third thigh I could slap and disbelieve. Just bang, bang. I can't believe this. It includes this cache evidence of Maxwell opening at least one foreign bank account using one of Epstein's addresses. That's pretty close.
Yeah.
Opening a bank account with the other dude's address.
Yeah.
Maxwell's named a director on one of Epstein's main companies. That's pretty close.
That is very close.
And they discussed undertaking a fertility procedure together long after Maxwell claims she largely dissociated from him. Once again, quite close.
Yeah.
Yes. It also involves them plotting to discredit women who raised allegations against them, including one email where Ghislaine Maxwell said she would leak compromising information about one of Epstein's sexual abuse victims. That's close to being scum. So that's the email caches out there, Dave.
Yes.
Yep. So
Who could have foreseen that?
I know, and I won't be able to see the next email cache
I'm
either.
sure Americans are so glad that she's been transferred to a minimum security holiday resort in exchange for saying that Mr. Trump was a perfect gentleman.
I believe they call it a camp. Yes. Number two, the Kash Patel hearing. This is like 2 weeks ago.
Yep.
He had two very bad hearings.
Yeah.
One in front of the Senate Judiciary Committee.
Congressional hearings are not his strong suit.
No. Well, he's got the right look. He's got the look of being startled. That's
identifying the correct afterlife of recently deceased religious adherents, also not his strong suit.
No.
Criminal investigations, not his strong suit.
No. Hockey is his strong suit.
Hockey is his strong suit.
Skipping work every weekend to play hockey, that is his strong suit.
Oh, I bet he's good at it.
Yeah. No, apparently he is. Apparently it's a very strong suit. I wouldn't take him on in hockey. I'd take him on in pretty much everything else except for looking startled. He'd kick my ass there.
Yeah.
But he was looking real startled in the Senate Judiciary Committee and the House Judiciary Committee hearings. Look, I'm not going to waste too much time on these because we've moved on. But there are 3 clips I just have to play.
Do it.
Because they tell you a lot. First of all, this is Senator John Cannery from Louisiana, the one like the Foghorn Leghorn.
Yes.
Senator Foghorn Leghorn. This is what he's got to say.
You've seen most of the files. Who, if anyone, did Epstein traffic these young women to besides himself?
Himself. There is no credible information. None. If there were, I would bring the case yesterday that he trafficked to other individuals. And the information we have, again, is limited.
So the answer is no one?
For the information that we have.
In the files?
In the case file.
Okay.
That is an extraordinary claim. That Epstein trafficked to no one other than himself, or, let's be fair, maybe he did, but they have no evidence whatsoever of him trafficking to anyone else. I guess all the survivors who alleged otherwise were either delusional or liars, maybe. Because you can trust cash.
And his 1990s first-year St. Paul College haircut.
Patel could not seem more like he is engaged in a cover-up of sorts there. And talking about which, one thing they are clearly covering up is the extent to which they are protecting Trump from what is mentioned in the files. I'm not saying Trump is involved in any pedophilic activity at all.
No, this is what we've always maintained.
Yeah.
But there can be embarrassing stuff in there without there being anything that suggests criminal activity.
Exactly. And if it wasn't obvious before that they're doing something to protect him, it became very obvious in this exchange between Eric Swalwell and Kash Patel.
Remembering your oath to tell the truth, did you ever tell Donald Trump his name is in the files?
I have never spoken to President Trump about the Epstein files.
Did you ever tell the Attorney General that Donald Trump's name is in the Epstein files?
The Attorney General and I have had numerous discussions about the entirety of the Epstein files and the reviews conducted by our team.
Did you tell the Attorney General that Donald Trump's name is in the Epstein files?
And we have released where President Trump's name is in the Attorney's
It's a simple question.
file.
Did you tell the Attorney General that the President's name is in the Epstein files?
During many conversations that the Attorney General and I have had on the matter of Epstein, we have reviewed.
The question is simple.
Who
did you tell the Attorney General that Donald Trump's name is in the Epstein files? Yes or no?
Why don't you try spelling it out?
Yes
if you're
or
gonna mock
no,
me?
Director?
Use the alphabet.
Yes or no?
No? A, B, C,
Director,
D, E, F?
it sounds like you don't want to tell us. Did you tell the Attorney General that Donald Trump's name was in the Epstein files?
Why don't you try serving your constituency
Director,
by
did you tell the
focusing on
Attorney
reducing
General
violent
that Donald
crime in this
Trump's
country and the number of pedophiles that are
Director,
legally
reclaim
harbored
my time,
in your
Director.
sanctuary cities in
Director,
California?
reclaim
I'll
my
work
time.
with you on that. Do
Regular
you wanna
order,
work
Mr.
with us
Chairman.
on that?
Director, reclaim
I
my
belong to
time.
the gentleman from California.
Did you tell the Attorney General that Donald Trump's name is in the Epstein files?
Question
Yes or no?
has been asked and answered.
You've not answered it, and we will take your evasiveness as a consciousness of guilt.
Gotta say, Eric Swalwell's a lot better at asking questions than running for president.
Yeah. Oh, he's very good at asking question.
Yes, it was one question. Wow, Kash Patel is bad at this.
Yeah.
While he was doing that, he probably was thinking, yeah, I'm going to be able to clip this as a YouTube clip. But then I assume his staff has probably told him, don't clip this one. This one does not look good for you.
Dave, I swear to God, my notes right here after that. I
Yeah.
only have one line.
Yep.
Not sure that went as well as Kash Patel thought it did in his head. Great minds think alike.
Yeah.
On cover-ups, Thomas Massey, and this is the main reason I'm doing this, because
Yes.
this is huge, and I can't believe it hasn't gotten more coverage.
Yes.
Thomas Massey threw a massive firecracker onto the bonfire
Yes.
with this question, which I'm going to play longish, because as I said, this is important.
Director Patel, I watched some of your Senate hearing yesterday when Senator Kennedy asked you, you've seen most of the files, who, if anyone, did Epstein traffic these women to besides himself? You replied, according to the transcript, there is no credible information that he trafficked them to anyone else. You also said somewhere in the hearing and here today that the problem is that the case files are constrained by limited search warrants from 2006 to 2007 and that the non-prosecution agreement hamstrung future investigations. Those constraints only apply to the Southern District of Florida. They do not apply to the Southern District of New York, the location of the 2019 sex trafficking indictment, which produced many things, including a series of FD 302 documents. According to victims who cooperated with the FBI in that investigation, these documents in FBI possession, your possession, detail at least 20 men, including Mr. Jess Staley, CEO of Barclays Bank, who Jeffrey Epstein trafficked victims to, victims including minors, such as Virginia Roberts Giuffre, may she rest in peace. That list also includes at least 19 other individuals, one Hollywood producer worth a few $100 million, one royal prince, one high-profile individual in the music industry, one very prominent banker, one high-profile government official, one high-profile former politician, one owner of a car company in Italy, one rock star, one magician, at least 6 billionaires, including a billionaire from Canada. We know these people exist in the FBI files, the files that you control. I don't know exactly who they are, but the FBI does. Have you launched any investigations into any of these people, and have you seen these 302 documents?
Sir, I have asked my FBI agents to review the entirety of the Epstein files and bring forth any credible information. And we're working with Congress not only to divulge that information and produce it to you, but any investigations that arise from any credible investigation will be brought. There have been no new materials brought to me launching a new indictment.
And so have you reviewed those 302 documents where the victims name the people who victimized them?
If I personally know, but the FBI has.
So how can you sit here and in front of the Senate and say there are no names?
I said
I named one today.
I said we are not in the practice at the Department of Justice FBI of releasing victims' names. That is not what we do. We are also not in the habit of releasing incredible information. That's not what we do. But multiple authorities have looked at the entirety of what we have.
Okay.
No more smart assiness from Kash Patel.
No.
Thomas Massey is not playing around.
He really is not. And speaking of not playing around, his discharge petition is now likely to get the number of votes that it needs, because on Tuesday, Adelita Grijalva, as expected, won the special election in Arizona. So she is a Democrat who's the daughter of the deceased former member for that district. She is going to be the critical vote.
Yep.
So that discharge petition is going to succeed, which will ask the FBI to hand over the documents.
Well, it'll get through the House.
It will get through the House, yes.
Then it has to go to the Senate.
Yes.
The Senate had a vote of sorts, very similar to the discharge petition.
Yes.
A couple of weeks back.
Mm-hmm.
It went down 51-49. The two Republicans going with the Democrats were Hawley and Rand Paul.
Mm-hmm.
It's possible.
I think it is possible.
Yeah, it's possible it could get up. But having said that, I'm not sure Trump's going to be signing that bill.
No, of course not.
So it's symbolic.
Yes.
But having said that, it would build the pressure on Trump, and in particular on Kash Patel
Yes.
and Pam Bondi
Yes.
a lot.
It would.
Yeah, so no, this was going to be the third story I was going to bring up, so thank you for bringing it up.
Yes.
Let's go to your update, which is Ukraine.
Yes.
This kind of, I know you want to talk about the UN as well.
Yep.
These kind of go together.
Sure.
So, yeah, why don't you just start wherever you want.
Okay, so Ukraine, the whiplash continues.
Yes.
We had this quite extraordinary statement from Trump this week. So this was after the UN. This was after he had met with Volodymyr Zelensky.
Yes.
Now, bearing in mind, one of the main theories about Trump's approach to international relations is whoever he spoke to last has the most powerful influence on him. Now, I don't know if that's entirely true, but this really seems to provide evidence for that theory, because he came out sounding not even like Joe Biden, sounding way more optimistic than Joe Biden ever did about Ukraine's prospects of winning the war. Just before I get to what he said, let me remind you of what Trump has been saying all year, which is essentially Ukraine cannot win this war.
They're not holding any cards,
Yeah,
Dave.
Ukraine doesn't have the cards.
No cards.
Yes.
They're playing They've got nothing.
That means they've won.
Oh, shit. Yeah. Yeah, that's why he's so optimistic, Lucky. They just won
Finally realised it's not four-dimensional chess, it's . Anyway, yeah. So he's been saying all year there has to be a negotiated settlement to end the war because otherwise Russia's going to win it. That is not what he's saying anymore. He is saying that Ukraine can win it with NATO backing and that Ukraine could even go further and actually take Russian territory.
We should read the tweet.
Yes.
I think Ukraine, with the support of the European Union, is in a position to fight and win all of Ukraine back in the original form. With time, patience, and the financial support of Europe, and in particular NATO, the original borders from where this war started is very much an option. Why not? Russia has been fighting aimlessly for 3.5 years, a war that should have taken a real military power less than a week to win. This is not distinguishing Russia. In fact, it is very much making them look like a paper tiger. When the people living in Moscow and all of the great cities, towns and districts of throughout Russia find out what's really going on with this war, the fact that it's almost impossible for them to get gasoline through the long lines that are being formed and all the other things that are taking place in their war economy, where most of their money is being spent on fighting Ukraine, which has great spirit and only getting better. Still going, this is a long sentence.
Yeah.
Ukraine would be able to take back their country in its original form and who knows, maybe even go further than that, as you say, Dave. Putin and Russia are in big economic trouble and this is the time for Ukraine to act. In any event, I wish both countries well. We will continue to supply weapons to NATO for NATO to do what they want with them. Good luck to all. Donald J. Trump, President of the United States of America. Let me ask you, Dave.
Yeah.
The way it ends.
Yes.
All that good luck to all.
Yeah.
I wish both countries well. That's code for Trump saying I don't give a shit
Yes,
anymore.
a lot of people have pointed out this is basically him washing his hands of the war, right? And so the US has slowed down or stopped the military aid to Ukraine this year. The vast majority of it has come from Europe. If you look at the overall contributions, the European countries collectively have contributed more than twice as much as the US has, despite Donald Trump's complaints about it. And Trump seems pretty satisfied with this situation. Like, he is not actually concretely suggesting that the US is now going to ramp up its military aid, which is what a lot of people have argued would be what was required for Ukraine to win. And even then, it wouldn't be particularly certain. But what Trump is really suggesting now is he's just going to let the situation continue. And whereas before he said like the status quo is going to lead to Russia winning, now he's saying, no, the status quo will lead to Ukraine winning because the Ukrainians have great spirit and Russia's economy is in the toilet. It is an absolutely staggering reversal of everything that he has been saying all year. I mean, we've seen the whiplash before.
Yeah.
We have not seen this level of insane optimism before.
So where do you think it came from?
Well, there's a couple of schools of thought on this.
Yeah.
One is that this is a negotiating tactic with Russia, which one of his staff helpfully told Politico, this is just a negotiating tactic.
Okay.
Now, I know I've given the Trump administration this advice so many times since 2017. If it's a negotiating tactic, don't tell the media that it's a negotiating tactic.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
That's not how negotiating tactics actually work, right? You're supposed to make them believe that you actually believe that.
Yeah.
If you go broadcasting that it's a negotiating tactic, they know that you don't believe it and they are just going to wait you out, which is what I think Russia's going to do.
Maybe he's the Penn and Teller of negotiations.
Yes.
He likes to give you to tell you the trick as he's performing it.
Yes. Where was I?
You're explaining the different schools of thought of where this came
Right,
from.
yeah.
One was it's a negotiating tactic.
One is it's a
that we're gonna
negotiating
announce in
tactic.
advance.
The other thing is that the other suggestion is he's just personally extremely frustrated with Putin.
Yeah.
He realizes he has been had by Putin.
Yeah, that's me.
He
That's what I
realizes that Alaska was an embarrassment.
Yeah.
He realizes that in the eyes of the world, he was just made a complete fool of by Vladimir Putin, and this is him taking out his frustration.
Yeah, that's the one I think. I think he realizes that he's not going to get the Nobel Peace Prize from Ukraine.
No.
And he's very angry about that because you
Yes.
know what? I reckon he's made it quite clear that he wants it.
He has made it incredibly clear that he wants the Nobel Peace Prize, yes.
And I also think that we should take a second to look at the context in which this is all occurring.
Yes.
Which is that Russia is really starting to take the piss.
They really are.
Like, not only have they been attacking with impunity recently, just last week, in fact, this week it was, they just about the biggest attack yet. They were pretty close to it.
Yeah.
508, this is at least according to Zelensky, 580 drones, 40 missiles targeting infrastructure, civilian manufacturing companies, residential areas in one night.
Yeah.
Ukraine's air defences shot down 552 of the 580 drones and 31 of the 40 missiles. That still leaves a lot of damage.
Yeah.
3 were killed. But it's not just that. I mean, Trump wouldn't like that. What he really wouldn't like is Russia taking the piss in Europe. With their drones.
Yeah.
Like, it was about probably 2 weeks ago, I reckon now, maybe 3.
Yes.
That 19 Russian drones found their way into Poland.
Yep.
They were all intercepted by NATO forces, I should say. No damage.
Yep.
That's the first time NATO forces have had to fire a shot in the Ukraine war. So that's a serious moment. Poland was extremely not happy. Radoslaw Sikorski, who's their deputy prime minister and foreign minister, said, when 1 or 2 drones does it, it's possible that it was a technical malfunction. In this case, there were 19 breaches, and it simply defies imagination that it could be accidental.
Yes.
And so they invoked Article 4 of NATO, which is not Article 5, which is the famous one. Article 4 allows joint consultation of allies.
Yes.
When one of their security is threatened. And the Russian Foreign Ministry said they were unfounded allegations and Poland was spreading myths without evidence to aggravate the Ukrainian crisis.
Yes.
And Trump's response at the time wasn't so dark. He posted on Truth Social, "What's with Russia's violating Poland's airspace with drones? Here we go." And I read that not with the accent, but I read that with the tone, allowing Lockie to put the Seinfeld bass line underneath it.
Yeah.
Which was the vibe that I got from that tweet. What's the deal with Russia violating Poland's airspace with drones? So that was how it began. But then, 3 days later, Dave, on September 14, a Russian drone found its way into Romania.
Yes.
Then, 6 days later, September 20, 3 Russian jets found their way into Estonian airspace for 12 minutes. That's a long time to be in Estonian airspace.
That is.
Estonia's not big.
No.
You have to do laps to be up there for 12 minutes.
Yeah.
They were escorted away by Italian F-35s. Then 3 days later again, September 23, Copenhagen airport's shut down in Denmark because of 2 or 3 large drones flying around the area. We don't know for a fact they're Russian.
Yeah.
But we do know on the same day, Oslo Airport was also shut down by a large drone flying around the area.
And now, of course, we're talking about countries that are a few countries over from Russia.
Yes.
We're not even talking about countries bordering.
Yeah.
Well, I know Norway does border Russia.
Yes, but
right up the top.
But Denmark does not.
No.
And look, those 2 might not have been Russian, but the whole thing seems very coincidental.
Yes.
Russia is taking the piss. And I think in that context, I could see Trump just going, I've really had enough of this.
Well, that was something else that he mentioned as well, that these countries should just shoot drones down.
Yeah. And in particular, there was a moment around here in one of the press conferences around the UN when someone was asking him about this. And just have a look, he does not seem impressed.
Is there any update on your talk to President Putin, and do you still trust him?
I'll let you know in about a month from now, okay?
President Trump,
he seems really not impressed. I mean, like, I know he's doing the month thing, but he's just, you can just look at him there and you just go, the dude is emo. He's like the My Chemical Romance of international diplomacy.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Zelensky looks happier than I've seen him in ages.
Oh, of course he's happy.
Got to say, yeah.
He's about to take over Russia, according to Trump.
Yeah. I mean, the European powers are pretty skeptical that this really means very much.
Don't blame them.
Yeah, well, of course. Yeah, I mean, first of all, who knows what he'll be saying next week? And second, once again, when you come back to that tweet, as long as it was, very short on substance in terms of anything that the US might be doing.
Not a lot of sanctions being mentioned.
No.
Yeah.
No, I think he's mentioned tariffs not sanctions, if European countries stop buying Russian oil. And given that he keeps banging on about this issue, because when he was in Britain, he talked about this a lot. And he complimented Keir Starmer on you're one of the countries that's not buying Russian oil, but other countries that are buying Russian oil. Okay, the three NATO countries that buy the most Russian oil are Turkey, Hungary, and Slovakia.
Okay.
As far as I'm aware, those are three of the least hawkish countries when it comes to Russia. In fact, Hungary is quite pro-Putin.
Yeah.
Sure is. Yeah. In the scheme of things, Turkey's got its own very long, complicated history and security relationship with Russia, and obviously with that region being a Black Sea country. Slovakia, actually, I really don't know anything about Slovakia, but I get the impression that it's not one of the more gung-ho countries when it comes to the Ukraine conflict. So it's not as if there are these really pro-Ukrainian allies of the US that are just blatantly buying up, millions of barrels of Russian oil, which is what Trump seems to be suggesting that they are. Yeah.
So, do you have any thoughts about this?
We've got Biden-level rhetoric without any of the kind of action that Biden was committing to.
And Biden was not known for action.
No.
Yes.
That's not a great combination.
Yeah.
It is, it's heartening on the one hand that psychologically seems to have shifted. Because that combination of insane optimism and no commitment, it's not a good combination.
And like we say, this came off the back of the UN meeting. I got the impression you wanted to talk about that UN speech.
I do want to talk about the UN speech.
Well, now's as good a time.
Now's as good a time as any to talk about it. Yeah. Okay, so before we get to the UN speech, let's just talk a little bit about what happened immediately before the UN speech.
Sure.
Okay. Which is apparently there had been UN employees making jokes about what can we do to highlight the budget problems that the UN is facing, given the fact that the US is not paying as much into the UN as it used to. And apparently one of the delightful pranks that was mentioned was, let's stop the escalator as soon as Trump gets on it and make him walk up. Now, the UN insists that is not what happened, that it was not a deliberate act of sabotage. Because, indeed, when Trump and Melania got on the escalator, it stopped working.
That's true.
And they had to walk all the way up to the top. Now, what the UN says is that there was a videographer running in front of them because they wanted to capture Trump's ascent up the UN escalator, because this is president content creator after all, and that the videographer was the one who triggered the emergency stop.
Yeah.
Okay? So that was the first thing that went wrong. The second thing that went wrong was that the teleprompter stopped working about 10 minutes into the speech. But then it did actually start working again at some point, but there had been a lot of impromptu comments between when it stopped working and when it started working again, in a speech that went for about 4 times as long as the allocated time. So before we actually get to that speech, Trump initially was making jokes about both of these incidents in his speech.
He did.
He was using them as illustrations of the things that he thought were wrong with the UN.
Yeah, he said these are the only 2 things I've gotten out of the UN.
Yes. Yeah. And actually said, this speech wouldn't have been as interesting if it hadn't been for these 2 things. So he turned it into a comedy moment. But afterwards, I think a lot of people must have got into his ear about the intentional sabotage angle on this. And now he's calling for arrests. Investigations and arrests.
Oh, it should say the same Associated Press article that said that the escalator was one of his videographers also said that the teleprompter was operated by the White House.
I was going to mention that, yes.
Yeah, I don't know if that's true or not. It might be bullshit.
Well, I mean, it's It's AP who is reporting this. They are one of the more credible sources out there, but they get things wrong sometimes.
Yeah, everyone gets things wrong.
Yeah. So I don't know if what the full story is there. But at the moment, based on the reporting, it was actually Trump's own White House that was responsible for both of these incidents.
So he's going to arrest people in his own White
Where
House?
he's demanding security camera footage of, the emergency stop button on the escalator and vice versa.
Okay.
For what it's worth, John Bolton, who wrote an article in the Washington Post about how Trump should fix the UN rather than just complaining about it, he said he has had to walk up that escalator many times before.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But I actually can imagine that when he was US ambassador to the UN, someone just would have stopped it every time they saw him on it. I would not put that past people.
Okay, so we got these malfunctioning escalators and teleprompters.
Yeah. So we've got the malfunction. We've got, the speech was supposed to go for 15 minutes. Normally, when speakers go for longer than their allocated time at the UN, they actually get cut off, like the mute button kicks in. That did not happen with Donald Trump. In fact, it's been pointed out that in general, there was far more of an atmosphere of deference this time, that he was greeted with polite applause rather than laughter when he said outlandish things. It was polite silence rather than the sort of outlandish guffaws that met him before at the UN, which is not to say that he was any less absurd in this speech than he has been in previous speeches at the UN. So this speech, given that it went for 56 minutes, obviously not all of it was actually particularly relevant to the UN. A lot of the time, he only seemed to think that he was addressing European countries.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, that is very much the sort of stereotyped American view of the world. That there's America and there's Europe, and then there's just a whole lot of countries not worth knowing about.
Sure, but the other countries were right in front of him.
Yes.
It's not
they even had their names.
Yeah. They're hard to miss.
There, yes. But anyway, so he was saying that a combination of immigration policies and climate policies are sending European countries to hell. Yeah. I can't remember what the exact words he used, but I think it was something like, your countries are going to hell. And he's like, I know you want to be nice, I know you want to be politically correct, but you're destroying your heritage.
I have a clip that's around this section, which I clipped out because I thought this was his most embarrassing moment.
Okay,
So let's just play it.
If you don't get away from this green scam, your country is going to fail. And I'm really good at predicting things, They actually said during the campaign they had a hat, the best-selling hat. Trump was right about everything. And I don't say that in a braggadocious way, but it's true. I've been right about everything. And I'm telling you that if you don't get away from the green energy scam, your country is going to fail.
When Trump is citing the slogan on a piece of his own merchandise as proof of his judgment.
Because it was the best-selling hat, allegedly.
That's pretty low.
Yes. Look, I mean, it is. Just when you take a detached look, it's incredibly embarrassing to the whole country. But we're just so used to this by now. Not that it's worth trying to debate with Trump on this, but from a completely cynical view, the reason why European countries started embracing green energy such a long time ago is because they ran out of fossil fuels. Once the coal mines were worked out, made total sense to transition to other sources of energy.
Yeah.
It wasn't even a particularly elevated environmental consciousness that was driving this.
I didn't even know that.
It was real economic. Well, yeah. So I mean, this is the really interesting thing. Do you remember a couple of years ago when in Australia, News Corp suddenly decided that it was going to acknowledge the reality of climate change?
I do remember that.
For 2 weeks?
This is about 15 years ago now.
No. Well, they've done this a few times.
Yeah.
But just 2 to 4 years ago.
Okay, no.
Anyway,
I remember that.
Do you remember who was the big person that they were citing to win Conservatives over to this view?
Don't remember.
Margaret Thatcher. Right, Margaret Thatcher said, as a chemist, she believed in the reality of climate change and believed in the need to shift to other sources of energy. Not a surprise that she was saying this as she was kicking the shit out of the British coal mine union and presiding over the closure of coal mines. Yeah. Right? So, yes, she was right scientifically, but she had other reasons for doing it as well. As I say, there's absolutely no point debating with Trump about this, but I just want to point out from the point of view of European countries, this is definitely not a scam. And European countries don't like being dependent on Russian oil and Russian natural gas. So it's no surprise that they would actually want to shift to other sources of energy. Yep. You might think that this thought might cross Trump's mind when he's castigating them for buying Russian oil, but no. Okay. But on the point about immigration,
yes,
it's amazing to hear him depicting European countries as being really soft on immigration. They are not. European countries on immigration have been militarized. They have been following Australian policies in many cases. They've been following this Fortress Europe idea for quite a number of years now. I mean, maybe he has in mind what Germany did 10 years ago.
He's thinking about Germany. He's thinking about Sweden.
Germany. That was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
That Angela Merkel allowed more than a million Syrian refugees into the country. Yeah. And at the time, that was actually considered pretty successful.
Yeah.
Since then, it's been Fortress Europe.
Yeah.
And even Sweden has gone in that direction. Europe is not being nice to immigrants. Keir Starmer's response to the rise of a far-right anti-immigrant movement in Britain is to try to outflank them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Once again, he's got the stereotyped American view of things that that Europe has become this majority Muslim place.
Yes.
That in his words, they're going to hell as a result of their immigration policies. This is not what Europe looks like these days. Yeah. Anyway, so that was the European portion.
Sure.
Of the speech. There was also the Palestinian portion of the speech when he accused some in the UN General Assembly of unilaterally trying to move towards Palestinian statehood. Now, he didn't name names, but of course he was talking about France, Britain, Australia, Portugal. I think there might be one, Canada. Who have all now moved towards recognising Palestinian statehood. Would it shock you to know these are not the first members of the UN General Assembly to recognise Palestinian statehood?
I'm pretty sure they're close to the last.
That's number 151, 152, 153, 154 and 155 countries to recognise Palestinian statehood. I don't know what definition of unilateral he's using here, but why do I keep trying to debate with Trump? It's the most pointless. This is the most pointless activity ever. But anyway, needless to say, yes, it is. It is not those countries that are isolated on this issue.
You're lost for words.
As far as as far as the UN goes. Yes. Right. He frequently seemed to forget that he was not addressing a CPAC conference.
I gotta say, if I was sitting there in the UN General Assembly staring at 100 different African country representatives, I would find it very difficult to confuse that with a CPAC audience.
Oh no, because he's doing so well with African Americans these days.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So look, those were the two main substantive things. And he said, he had this sort of very familiar line by now that recognizing Palestinian statehood, is rewarding Hamas, it's rewarding terrorism, and like the only negotiating point should be demanding that Hamas releases the hostages. Yes. So that was the Trump UN speech. It got a lot of headlines because of the "your countries are going to hell" line.
Yep.
But that's that's pretty standard Trump stuff.
Yeah. I got to say, I had nothing to say about it.
At this point. So anyway, that's Trump at the UN.
Okay. I got a quick update on weaponization from I spent quite a bit of time on in the extra.
Yep.
The last PEP. For those who don't recall, we were talking about, or didn't listen to it, we were talking about the large number of people, of Democrats, that Trump was trying to get prosecuted for mortgage fraud.
Yes.
All the charges very dubious. Not only do they not have much evidence, but there's actively lots of evidence of innocence. And I know there are huge updates today in this area.
Yes, there are.
We'll probably save that for the next pod.
Yeah. We're not doing Comey today.
Yeah, no,
and
not doing Comey.
We're also not doing 100% tariff on pharmaceuticals today.
Oh, I didn't even know about that.
Yeah, well, I mean, who knows whether that's still going to be in place by next week, but we'll get to that next week. Yes.
I don't want to do Comey until we see some of the evidence, because that is such a critical part of that. Like, we just don't know. Right now, we know nothing. So I just think let's leave that off. But yes. The question was, with weaponization, you got all these attempts to try and get Trump's enemies prosecuted with no case whatsoever.
Yes.
When the U.S. attorney said, I can't do it, I can't make the case, Trump just sacked him.
Yeah.
And so off the back of that, Carolyn Levitt, this is the update, Carolyn Levitt was asked about that.
Yes.
I thought this was interesting, her response to that.
I want to point to something that the president said during his inaugural address. Never again will the immense power of the state be weaponized to persecute political opponents. We will not allow that to happen. Is the president going back on his promise?
No. In fact, the president is fulfilling his promise to restore a Department of Justice that demands accountability. And it is not weaponizing the Department of Justice to demand accountability for those who weaponized the Department of Justice. And nobody knows what that looks like more than President Trump. We are not going to tolerate gaslighting from anyone in the media or from anyone on the other side who is trying to say that it's the president who is weaponizing the DOJ. It was Joe Biden and his attorney general who weaponized the DOJ. Joe Biden used this sacred American institution to go after his political opponent in the middle of an election year. And you look at people like Adam Schiff and like James Comey and like Letitia James, who the president is rightfully frustrated. He wants accountability for these corrupt fraudsters who abused their power, who abused their oath of office to target the former president and then candidate for the highest office in the land. And I think the president is reaffirmed in those frustrations and his hope for accountability by the millions and millions of people who reelected him to this office with a mandate to demand accountability.
Let's get this straight. The president is not weaponizing the Department of Justice.
No.
Because he's so frustrated with these people who did weaponize the Department of Justice, he's ordering the Department of Justice to go after them for mortgage fraud.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's demanding accountability by not prosecuting them for the things that he said they did wrong.
That's right.
Like weaponization.
Prosecuting them for mortgage fraud.
Yeah, I think they might have had an overdue library card as well, or a library book. I think maybe,
My God, she just confessed to it.
I think maybe Letitia James might have ripped the tag that said "do not remove" on the side of her mattress. And so it's about demanding accountability from her, making sure she goes down for that.
Amazing.
See, I would have thought accountability for weaponized justice would involve prosecuting weaponized justice. That's what I would have thought.
Yes.
Like to maybe charge her with breaches of laws in execution of her job.
Exactly.
That would be accountability.
That would be.
Not, I'm going to get revenge on her any way I can for anything.
Yes.
Carolyn Levitt clarified this view in a follow-up question.
Oh, good.
So why won't the president accept the conclusions of his Justice Department to not bring charges against Letitia James. In fact, you had Bondi and Blanche, top DOJ leadership, who were against ousting Eric Siebert, who again was picked by President Trump.
I just answered that question for you, and the president has every right to express how he feels about these people who literally campaigned on trying to put him in jail, who literally tried to ruin his life and ruin his businesses, and he wants to see accountability for those who abuse their office and abuse their power. And Letitia James absolutely did that, whether you want to admit it or not.
Is that not
Jeff.
retribution, though?
Jeff, it's accountability.
Thanks,
Jeff.
Once again, mortgage fraud.
It's accountability.
That's what he's going.
It's accountability.
Because she campaigned on going after him,
Yeah.
she has to be held accountable to the bank that gave her a home loan.
Yes. And also, he's expressing his feelings through these bullshit prosecutions.
Well.
And note, by the way, that's exactly the kind of accountability that Trump himself can no longer be subjected to, thanks to Chief Justice Roberts.
Yes.
Thank you.
Look, and we can laugh and point all this out, but let's face it, all this stuff would only matter in a country that actually had standards.
They're demanding accountability, Dave. That's no higher standard than that. You guys decide for yourself. I played the clips. You make up your own mind. I have nothing else to add on that.
I think Caroline Levitt has said it all.
Yeah, we'll save the rest for Comey and all that kind of stuff for next time.
Yes.
Jimmy Kimmel returning. Do you have any thoughts on that at all?
Well, so Sinclair is still keeping him off.
Yep, and Nexstar as well, or have they?
I actually have not heard about Nexstar. I know that Sinclair is keeping him off. I haven't heard about Nexstar.
Okay, well, I can tell you that I am 36 hours behind.
Right, yeah.
But as of 36 hours ago,
yeah.
Nexstar was boycotting as well.
Okay, right.
Like they combined, they were impacting about 70 stations, which covered between 30 and 40% of ABC's viewers, depending on how you count.
Right,
them.
yeah.
Now, maybe in the last 36 hours that's changed. I've got the statements as well. Nexstar said, "We made a decision last week to preempt Jimmy Kimmel Live following what ABC referred to as Mr. Kimmel's ill-timed and insensitive comments at a critical time in our national discourse. We stand by that decision pending assurance that all parties are committed to fostering an environment of respectful, constructive dialogue in the markets we serve."
Ah, that's a bit of an escape clause.
Yeah, I don't know what this means. It sounds pretty woolly to me.
Yeah.
Which means that they can just stop any time.
Yep.
Sinclair, they said that discussions with ABC are ongoing as we evaluate the show's potential return. Now, originally they said they were going to boycott until Kimmel personally apologised and made donations.
To Charlie Kirk's widow.
Yeah, to both the widow and to Turning Point USA. They appear to have not mentioned those demands for days now, so that maybe they're becoming woolly as well.
Maybe they've realised that, like so many Trump acts, the Shakedown Act only works for Trump. Like so many of Trump supporters have learnt the hard way. You can support Trump all you like, but don't start trying to do the things that he can get away with, because you will not get away with them. Maybe they've learnt that when they try to do the shakedown thing, they just look like dickheads.
Does the fact that Sinclair and Nexstar have continued, at least for a week, their boycott, does that change our views about why the ban happened? Does that inform us in any way?
No, my view on why the ban happened was it was driven by Nexstar wanting to execute this sale of wanting to buy tenure.
Yeah.
Which would give it way more market share than it's allowed to have under current FCC rules. So they were threatening to boycott, and then ABC responded to their boycott by caving very quickly.
That's fine, but what we've seen since is ABC have reversed their cave.
Yep.
Even though Nexstar and Sinclair continued theirs.
Cultural politics of this are pretty fascinating.
Yeah.
Okay. So ABC might have decided, holy shit, the political situation in this country, the whole cultural mood has just changed. We've just seen this outpouring of grief for Charlie Kirk. This is no longer a country where we should be, responding to liberal boycott threats. We should be responding to conservative boycott threats. Then they saw the backlash. Then they saw the scale of the backlash. And then maybe they realised that just because an election result swings in 3 points in one direction, that doesn't actually change the fundamental underlying cultural politics of the country in terms of what they have to pay attention to, which is market share, not the Electoral College.
Yes.
So I think that they would have actually realised, oh no, the culture in this country has not shifted so much that we have to cave into these conservative demands. In fact, we are probably going to alienate more liberals than we risk alienating conservatives if we keep Kimmel off the air.
Okay, and then the second question
Yes.
is that if what Nexstar and Sinclair were worried about
Yep.
was about sucking up to Brendan Carr.
Yeah.
Brendan Carr has done a very good impression over the last few days.
Yes, yeah.
Of a man who doesn't want to be associated with this band whatsoever.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like he has been pretending he's got nothing to do with it. He said that Disney merely made a business decision in response to feedback from viewers and affiliates.
And something that you said on Benny Johnson's podcast, mate.
Oh, he didn't mention that.
Yeah.
And he said that the claims of undue government pressure were a campaign of projection and distortion.
Wow.
Quote, Jimmy Kimmel is in the situation that he's in because of his ratings, not because of anything that happened at the federal government level.
That's amazing. See, I hadn't seen that. And that indicates he thinks he overplayed his hand.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah, that actually the scale of the pro-free speech backlash here, people like Ted Cruz and Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens, who was someone that Jimmy Kimmel name-checked. Just, Jimmy, I'm not sure that you actually want to be name-checking Candace Owens at the moment, given some of the things that she is saying about Charlie Kirk's death and Israel potentially being responsible for it. But anyway, yeah, the scale of this free speech backlash, I think, probably took them by surprise.
I'm inclined to agree with that, but that then brings me back to the same question.
Yeah.
Which is, if this backlash took them by surprise, and so ABC did the reverse cave.
Yeah,
they caved on the cave.
Yeah.
And Brendan Carr is just out of here.
Yes.
He's just like the roadrunner. There's just smoke left behind.
Yeah.
Why are Nexstar and Sinclair still at it?
Well, Sinclair is genuinely ideologically committed to this.
Yeah.
I don't know very much about Nexstar's politics, but I've seen them described as right-leaning. Sinclair, though, is really right-leaning. Sinclair actually, a couple of years ago, was basically imposing scripts on all of its newsreaders, on all like 200 and whatever newsreaders across the country to make sure that they towed the party line. Yeah, so Sinclair is really committed to this. I don't know ideologically. I don't know about Nexstar.
And they had regular reports in their news section, not as like conservative opinion, just as news. From Boris Epstein.
Jesus.
So they're pretty conservative.
Yeah.
By the way, as well, while I'm asking these questions, let me also note that for those who are taking the Brendan Carr line of this is all about ratings. I don't think it's about ratings when Jimmy Kimmel is rating 6 million viewers.
Yes.
Even with 30 to 40% of them not able to tune in. Because of the boycotts. So he's rating 4 times what he was rating before. So if the ratings were the issue, they'd be right back on board immediately. At least to take advantage of the bump until he drifts off again.
Now, Donald Trump's line on this initially was that, this is just because of ratings as well. That was what his line was when Kimmel got fired, because he's like, he's terrible, he's talentless. But the White House's response when ABC brought him back was quite different. It was like, ABC assured us.
I can read it.
Yes.
I can't believe ABC fake news gave Jimmy Kimmel his job back. The White House was told by ABC that his show was cancelled. Something happened between then and now because his audience is gone and his talent was never there. Why would they want someone back who does so poorly, who's not funny, and who puts the network in jeopardy by playing 99% positive Democrat garbage? He is yet another arm of the DNC, and to the best of my knowledge, that would be a major illegal campaign contribution. I think we're going to test ABC out on this. Let's see how we do. Last time I went after them, they gave me $16 million. This one sounds even more lucrative. A true bunch of losers. Let Jimmy Kimmel rot in his bad ratings.
See, that threat sounds hollow even by Trump standards. And, as I've said before, threats come with costs. And, Trump is trying to do everything by threat at the moment.
Yeah.
And sure, it's worked a lot of the time. Like the scale and the speed at which institutions have just rolled over on their backs and shown him their tummies has been extraordinary and embarrassing. But a lot of them are starting to actually feel the embarrassment now. And they're starting to see the consequences of rolling over so quickly. Maybe he will continue to get institutions to cave, but the point is he is burning a lot of his threat capital at the moment.
Sure.
Yep.
One other story involved with this, it seems like bullshit, which I'll also call out as well, is if you remember how some people said a week or two ago that ABC canned Kimmel because they were protecting him from doubling down against MAGA. That they knew what his next monologue was going to be. That the head of ABC or Disney or whatever had chatted to him the day he got pulled. They found out about his next monologue and they said it's going to make everything worse. I think Dana Walden, that was actually quoted on the record of saying that. It's going to make everything worse. Well, apparently the monologue he ended up using was largely the one he was going to do originally on the day he got axed.
Yeah.
And it wasn't provocative at all. There was no apology, that's true.
Yeah.
But he made a conscious effort to reach out to those who were angry at him. Let's have a look at a bit of this.
I've been hearing a lot about what I need to say and do tonight. And the truth is, I don't think what I have to say is going to make much of a difference. If you like me, you like me. If you don't, you don't. I have no illusions about changing anyone's mind. But I do want to make something clear because it's important to me as a human. And that is, you understand that it was never my intention to make light of the murder of a young man. I don't think there's anything funny about it. I posted a message on Instagram on the day he was killed, sending love to his family and asking for compassion, and I meant it, and I still do. Nor was it my intention to blame any specific group for the actions of what it was obviously a deeply disturbed individual. That was really the opposite of the point I was trying to make, but I understand that to some that felt either ill-timed or unclear, or maybe both. And for those who think I did point a finger, I get why you're upset. If the situation was reversed, there's a good chance I'd have felt the same way. I have many friends and family members on the other side who I love and remain close to, even though we don't agree on politics at all. I don't think the murderer who shot Charlie Kirk represents anyone. This was a sick person who believed violence was a solution, and it isn't. Ever.
So that's not provocative at all.
No.
That's just decent and heartfelt.
Yes.
And by the way, look, I don't think he's the funniest host on earth. He seems to me... I have literally never seen his show. Yeah, well, you just saw how funny he is. Okay, that's not the best example. But he's definitely quite partisan. But I just can't help thinking, even though I actually thought the tone was spot on when he was coming back here, because he had to, obviously watch, he had to tiptoe carefully. Yes. But, you know how when people talk about time machines, how they ask him, would you go and kill baby Hitler or something if you invent a time machine? I think one of the first things I would do, maybe not the very first, but one of the first things I would do if someone invented a time machine, is for me to take some of these Jimmy Kimmel clips of Jimmy Kimmel just crying every 5 seconds and make young Jimmy Kimmel watch them and get his response. Man show Jimmy Kimmel. I would love to know what man show Jimmy Kimmel we have to say about Jimmy Kimmel Live, Jimmy Kimmel just tearing up constantly. Like I know this is a tragic situation. I'm not making fun of the situation at all.
Yep.
I just feel confident that young Jimmy Kimmel would not have much time for old Jimmy Kimmel. I really am confident on that one. But anyway, I don't know if you watched the Man Show ever, but there weren't a lot of tears.
No.
There weren't a lot of emotional tears on the Man Show. Anyway, my point is, it's bullshit that he had a provocative monologue and that they had to pull him off.
Yeah.
That story's not true. So we're eliminating stories. Doesn't mean we've got to the truth. But we have eliminated a few of them.
Yeah.
Also, he gave out a big shout to Erica Kirk as well, saying she was an example we should all follow.
Yes.
So he was trying. He was trying to reach out.
He was.
No doubt about that.
Yep.
Not sure the MAGA types were ready to bury the hatchet. I'm not sure you saw Molly Hemingway's tweet about Kimmel.
I did not. That's a name I haven't thought about for a long time.
All caps. Disney loathes you! Not talking to Kimmel, we're talking to conservatives.
Oh, right.
Because Disney brought Kimmel back. That means Disney loathes all conservatives. That's the only conclusion one can draw. Anyway, you got any other thoughts about Jimmy Kimmel's return?
No.
I've kind of done Kimmel, I reckon.
Yeah.
Let's talk about RFK and autism.
Okay.
I spoke about the AKIP hearing at quite extensively during the extra.
Yeah.
But I said I'd leave the autism for you because I knew you'd be all over that.
Yeah.
I've got a bit too. You
Look,
can start.
I want to start with the big picture here.
Yep.
Which is RFK's obsession with eliminating autism.
Yeah, it's a good place to start.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so the context for this is that the number of autism diagnoses has increased exponentially over the last couple of decades.
Yep.
And RFK blames that on environmental factors and on various medicines.
I'll give you the numbers.
Yes.
It's recently 1 in 31 children in America affected by autism.
Yes.
That's nearly 5 times higher than when the CDC started the surveys back in 1992.
Yes. Okay. Now, there are a lot of debates over whether there might be environmental factors involved. But one thing over which there is very little debate is that a big factor in that increased autism diagnosis rate, not just in the US, but in many other countries, including Australia, is an expansion of the diagnostic criteria.
Yep.
First of all. Second, a reduction in the stigma around autism. Third, increased support available, especially for children who are dealing with autism, which motivates people who think that their child might be autistic to actually seek out a diagnosis.
Yes.
Those things between them all contribute to a massive rise in diagnosis of autism.
Yes.
And the fact that that increase in diagnosis of autism is being driven essentially by increased awareness and increased resources available to deal with autism, that is a good thing.
Can I add a couple more things in there as well? Just to pad that out a little.
Yep.
The diagnosis used to be based on purely speech development and nothing else.
Yep.
But then they widened the range to a bunch of social and emotional symptoms, especially after 1994.
Yes.
They really opened the book on the various forms of diagnosis, which means obviously there's going to be more of a diagnosis because there's more ways of diagnosing and more things you're basing that diagnosis on. Surprise, surprise. As you say, there's been less stigmatization, so people will be more likely to come forward.
Yes.
More awareness.
Yes.
So they know to look for a diagnosis.
There are a lot more adults now who are realizing that they're on the autism spectrum.
100%.
Yes.
I have a number of members of my family who, as adults, have been diagnosed as being on the spectrum.
Yeah.
Like they couldn't tell when they looked at me. So anyway, even if you look at this from different politics, the same factors apply.
Yeah.
Like what you class as a positive,
Yes.
other people class as a negative, but they're talking about the same thing.
We are talking about the same thing.
Which is you're talking about the funds, right?
Yes,
and you're saying,
Yeah.
and you're saying, like now it's better supported.
Yes.
And so people are more likely to get diagnosed. The negative side of that, like people like from the other side would say, oh, well, there's incentives to.
That's right. Look, and I acknowledge there are arguments that it has gone too far. One of the original authors of the expanded diagnostic criteria, he's said he thinks that it's going too far and that children with other social disorders, in his view, are now getting a place on the autism spectrum. I mean, in Australia, because it's become an important part of the NDIS, there's an argument that this incentivizes parents towards seeking out diagnosis. But on the whole, this is a picture that is clearly driven by the response to autism.
Absolutely. The point I'm making is what those people are arguing about are the values you place on the same facts.
That's right, yes.
The facts are agreed upon.
Yes.
Right? It's just about the values. And by the way, on that note, there's a graph here, which is worth looking at, which is, and this goes right to the nub of that question you're talking about, where you see the reducing rate of diagnosis of intellectual disability at the same time as the increasing rate of diagnosis of autism.
Yes,
Where people who would have previously been diagnosed as intellectually disabled and now being diagnosed as autistic.
Right, yes,
I would be of the view that they are now being correctly diagnosed.
Yes.
And they used to be incorrectly diagnosed.
Yes,
People with the other view, the values view from the other side, might say the opposite.
They might.
But it's the same facts.
Yes.
Yeah, like it's not about environmental factors.
Yeah. Now, to take an even bigger picture on this. So, given this prevalence of autism, I'm very uncomfortable with this idea that autism is something that should be medicated out of existence or somehow genetically eradicated. I'm really uncomfortable with that because given the number of people who are on the autism spectrum, this seems to me it is part of human diversity.
Yes.
And that's why we often refer to it as neurodiversity now. Now, certainly, I mean, autism, it is a disorder because people who experience autism, many of them experience it as living in a world which is essentially not made for them.
Yeah.
And so early interventions in childhood are really important. And, whatever steps that you can take to mitigate the difficulties that come with autism, they are really important, including medical approaches. But what RFK is talking about is the idea that autism is something like cancer. Right, or some really severe form of intellectual disability that can be eradicated eugenically. Like it is. I find this incredibly disturbing, and I mean there are a lot of autistic people in universities.
Yeah,
students, academics, support staff, and I am very well aware of the gifts that they bring. And I'm not just talking about the stereotypical Rain Man stuff, right?
No.
It's not all professors of game theory or whatever who just have this enormous calculating ability. Comedy would barely exist without autism. People on the autism spectrum are really overrepresented in comedy because of the fact that they can see how stupid and absurd human society and its rules are. Yeah. And from a social science point of view, both outsider and insider perspectives on things are always really valuable.
Yeah.
And outsider perspectives are really important.
Yeah, I 100% agree with this. Like, it's just, the question is...
Yes.
And this is not a medical question.
Yeah.
The question is, are you functional or are you not functional?
Yeah.
That's the question, right?
Yeah.
And if you are functional... then you got no problems.
Yes.
Right? Like, I mean, you like just like everyone else on Earth,
yes,
you might be able to make your life a little bit better by learning new techniques, putting yourself in different environments, whatever, right?
Yeah.
But if you're functional and you can have a happy life and be self-sufficient and all the rest of it, then there's no problems.
As someone who went to a selective school, then to university, then into a PhD program, I only realised in my late 20s how many people I knew were on the autism spectrum.
Totally.
This was basically normal for my social environment.
Me too. And the fact is, like you hinted at before, in the right environment, in the right circumstance, it's a gift.
Yeah,
it's not something you have to cope with.
No,
it's a gift.
Absolutely. And I remember the first thing that prompted me to think differently about autism before I really understood what it was actually like way back in the 2000s. Les Murray, the poet, not the soccer commentator, the poet, absolute giant of Australian literature. He talked about how it was when his son had an autism diagnosis. It was actually a pretty severe autism diagnosis. Because that was when he realised that he was actually autistic.
Yeah.
And his, that was one of the things that powered his poetry. I've seen analyses of his poetry that point out things that probably people on the autism spectrum would recognise that other people would not. And another thing that made me think about this was actually back in the, at the height of the blogosphere, Tyler Cowen was writing about this because Tyler Cowen is on the autism spectrum. And he once again, he didn't recognize that he was until adulthood. But once he did, he recognized what a good economist that actually made him.
Yeah.
So I am really uncomfortable with this crusade against autism, as if it's the fight against cancer, as if we have to put eradicating autism just as the first priority above everything else. We would lose a lot if we lost autism from the world.
Absolutely. I mean, look, I do want to put a word in though to say like not everyone is who is autistic is
functional. Absolutely.
Like there are plenty of people who are extremely dysfunctional.
Yes.
And they've got real problems.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Yes.
And I'm not writing those problems off.
No.
What I am saying is, number one, your issue there are your symptoms.
Yes.
Right? And if there's ways that you can reduce the symptoms or you can accommodate the symptoms or you can change the environment to suit the symptoms or whatever, then so that you become functional, then great. There are going to be people that you just can't do that to.
That's right.
They're far too severely autistic. And in that case, that's a real problem.
Yes.
And that needs to be dealt with. And I suspect in the future, we won't refer to those people with the same terms.
No.
As the people who are fully functional.
Yes.
Like that's just that they'll probably consider completely different situations, right? Which they should be.
Yes.
But no, I totally take your point generally. Like you're right. Their attitude, RFK's attitude is not good. I just want to add just one little thing before we, this is a little bit spectrum of me, so I just can't let things go from before we moved down the checklist a little. That also the idea of that this is clearly about diagnosis more than anything else. We all know where we're going here. We know it's about Tylenol, right?
Yes.
Tylenol's been around for 70 years. And has been widely used for 70 years.
Yes.
And the rates of diagnosis have only exploded in the last 25 years.
That's right, yes.
So that just doesn't make sense.
Yes.
Right. But what has happened in the last 25 years is diagnosis. So that I should also say multiple studies have attributed about 80% of people's risk of developing autism to genetics.
Yes. Yeah.
And RFK refuses to acknowledge that.
Yeah.
Which is part of his problem. Because I actually, if you don't mind, I might just take a stab at what I think. Actually, I'm going to ask you first.
Yeah.
What do you think is going on here broadly? Like, why? How have we ended up in this position where they held this press conference the other day?
Okay. Yeah. And this goes back to the research that I did with Katie Atwell about anti-vaccine views of the world.
Yes.
Right? Which is that anti-vaxxers or even vaccine-hesitant people see the modern industrialized, medicalized world as deeply unnatural, deeply polluted, out of touch with nature and out of touch with human nature.
Yep.
And that they want to live as, nature has decreed they should live.
Yep.
And I think that it's very much RFK's view of the world. So I think with RFK, you've got this quite horrible obsession with purity. And I think that's what it's about. He basically sees autism as a kind of pollution that is, that is affecting the national health and that is interfering with nature. I think that's where the obsession comes from.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm taking it from a slightly different angle.
Yep.
No, it's not contradicting you. It's just from a completely different angle.
Yep.
Which is, I'm just thinking back to April, right?
Yep.
And RFK was making a big deal about autism because he likes to make a big deal about autism.
Yes.
Probably for the reasons you've just said.
Yeah, yeah.
He painted it like it was a huge emergency, and Trump loves emergencies.
He does.
He loves them. He goes, great. We can announce a solution.
Yes.
Solve that problem. I can win a prize.
Yeah.
And we can move on.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's the way Trump thinks, right?
Yep.
And so, of course, what was going to happen then was Trump was going to put pressure on him to have a tight deadline.
Yes.
So they could have their big announcement, a little ribbon cutting event.
Yes.
Right? And RFK obviously let himself get railroaded into this tight deadline.
Yeah.
Now, meeting the deadline was not going to be easy because he spent the last 2 decades denying that genetics plays a role.
Yes.
And that's literally the only thing that there's a lot of evidence for. If he can't use that because he's been denying it. So he can't backflip. That's not RFK's way.
Yes.
Right. But at the same time, he couldn't say what he was actually thinking, which is vaccines are at fault.
Yes.
Which is what he'd love to do.
That is what he would absolutely love.
That's where his heart's at. But he can't do that.
No.
Because if he does that, the very next thing they will do is remove the MMR vaccine off the schedule.
Yep.
If they remove the MMR vaccine, that's the measles, mumps, rubella.
Mm-hmm.
If they take the MMR vaccine off the schedule, that would have been a massive PR disaster for the administration, and RFK knows that.
Yes.
Not to mention an obvious health crisis.
Yes.
And he's not so stupid he couldn't see that coming.
No.
Right? And besides, even if he was so dumb, he would go, you know what, let's have hundreds of thousands of people getting sick on my watch and create a huge panic. Even if he wanted to do that, the real doctors who are in the administration, there are a few. Like Bhattacharya is a real doctor.
Yes.
Prasad is a real doctor, right? So that's the head of the NIH and the head of the FDA.
Mm-hmm.
They wouldn't have let him do that.
No.
They would have protested. They might have resigned.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
They would certainly cause a stink. So he needed to come up with some other explanation. He had 6 months to do it.
Yes.
Doing any kind of research takes years.
Absolutely.
In this field. Years and years, if not decades, right?
But that's only if you look at it from the point of view of some elitist in a white coat in some laboratory somewhere. You can do research in a matter of seconds if you've got your friend ChatGPT.
There is the ChatGPT option. I didn't consider that one. but I was going to say, I mean, the NIH, by the way, have been doing their own review of autism science for ages.
Yeah.
But that wasn't going to be ready in 6 months.
No.
Right? So short of the ChatGPT option.
Yes.
I was going to say there's only one explanation that's just been seen on the shelf with studies actually performed that don't prove anything.
No.
But they're at least accepted studies. Like they're real studies. They're not fake studies.
Yes,
They're real studies.
Yeah.
And this is the Tylenol explanation.
Right, yes.
So RFK would have thought, I am screwed unless I can embrace this Tylenol explanation. And the Tylenol explanation, that like there's a Harvard study there. You can say Harvard like 50
he can
times.
say the magic word Harvard.
It also is saying, you can't, like, watch out for Tylenol. That sounds kind of Maha-ish.
It does.
You know, like there's a pill that's been marketed by the elite.
Yes, yeah.
That someone makes lots of money out of.
By the way, it just occurs to me, for Australian listeners who aren't familiar with Tylenol, it's paracetamol.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. Okay, so paracetamol is the same as that compound, which I don't remember the name, acetaminophen, I think it is.
Acetaminophen.
Paracetamol's at fault. That's exactly the kind of thing that Maha would get into. So it's consistent with Maha. It's consistent with the stuff RFK's been saying for a while.
Yes.
He doesn't have to contradict himself.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, It means nothing. All you need to do is put a warning
Yes.
on your Tylenol bottles.
Yes.
And then you move on.
Yeah.
You don't need to take any vaccines off the market. You don't need any controversies.
That's
you don't
right.
need any panics. Just stick a warning label on and go.
Yes.
So that is really convenient for RFK.
Yes.
So that's why I think we are where we are with
Yes.
this.
Because, I mean, this announcement came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
like nobody was actually expecting this.
Yeah.
I thought it was more likely that it was going to be MMR that would go, but as you pointed
I think
out,
it was risky, yeah.
Yeah. Now, even though from RFK's point of view, this is the best / only option that he had, this is still not good.
No.
Because paracetamol is very effective at reducing fever.
That's what it's for.
That's what it's for. That's why so many people take it.
Yeah.
And so to suggest that you shouldn't be taking this in pregnancy or only under extremely limited circumstances.
We've got to say the claims.
Okay.
The claims are the use of paracetamol during pregnancy is tied to an increased risk of autism. So during pregnancy alone.
Yeah.
So we're talking Panadol, we're talking Tylenol, we're talking all those particular brands.
Yes, yeah,
right?
yeah.
But paracetamol.
Yes.
Okay? The drug leucovorin, also known as folinic acid.
Yes.
Not folic acid, folinic acid.
Folinic acid.
Can potentially reduce autism symptoms in some people, is another claim.
Yeah.
Not cure autism.
Nope.
Reduce some symptoms, in particular linguistic symptoms.
Yes.
Theoretically, the theory is that autistic people, some autistic people, have an autoimmune disease that creates antibodies that block the folate receptors in the brain.
Yes, yeah.
And this compound stops that happening.
Yeah.
It's been around for about 100 years, so doctors know it's relatively safe,
Yep.
which RFK would be happy about.
Yes.
Would require prescription, but they're the two claims.
Yes.
Okay, so now we've said the claims, now you can...
Well, let's just do leucovorin first.
Leucovorin, yeah.
Yeah, so leucovorin, that is based on 2 studies that were not very big.
Yeah, tiny studies.
Yeah. So there was a good article in The Conversation about this that basically said that's hopeful, but it needs a lot more. Yeah. It's going to need a lot more research. But
it's time.
But it does have the benefit of, as you say, it's safe.
Yes.
So I think that's fine. Pursuing that avenue of research.
And it's not removing anything.
No.
It's not like with Tylenol where they're saying don't take it when you're sick.
Yeah.
In this case, it's you would have done nothing.
Yeah.
Now you can try this pill. And
Yes.
it's not going to hurt you.
Yeah. And just to put it in really dumb terms, leucovorin increases your folates, and that's good for your DNA.
I might have auctioneer voice down, but you've certainly got...
shit, did I just do an ad on the ABC?
Yeah, you've certainly got kids' TV show ad voice down.
What is wrong with me?
All you need is a backwards cap. But yeah, no, they're like, this is promising, but very early days.
Yes, yeah. But at least that's not like actively destructive.
That's right.
Okay, let's get to the...
And there are no late days for RFK. It's only early days.
Let's get to the Tylenol thing. There has been a barrage, deluge of whatever metaphor that you want to use of panicked medical professionals saying, please do not discourage pregnant women from taking Tylenol.
Yes.
Because when you have a fever when you're pregnant, it's quite important to do something about it.
Yes, because it's actually worse to have a fever. In fact, it's not just worse in terms of miscarriages.
Yes.
It's worse in terms of autism.
Yes.
It's worse right across the board.
Now, the thing is, because paracetamol is such a prevalent drug, there have been a lot of studies done on paracetamol.
Yes.
So cherry picking one or two and saying there's a link here, this is not very convincing.
Not even a link.
Yeah.
An association.
An association.
Let's get that word right.
Right, yeah. There's certainly been nothing approaching an actual causal link.
God, no.
No.
And the researchers themselves say that.
Yes.
Like, to be clear, there's only one person. There's literally only one person who's suggesting there's a causal link.
Yes.
And it's not even an RFK.
No.
We'll get to that person.
Okay. There was a Swedish study done involving 2.4 million births and sibling studies.
Yes.
Showing that there was no difference between babies who came from pregnancies where paracetamol was used and those who did not.
Let me just tweak that slightly.
Yep.
The original one, which is skipped past, was
Yes.
the Harvard University one. That's Harvard's T.H. Chan School of Public Health.
Yes.
Dean, Dr. Andrea Bacciarelli.
Yep.
46 studies were part of that review.
Yep.
I found an association between Tylenol use in pregnancy and autism, especially for those who used it for more than 4 weeks.
Right.
For those people who used Tylenol for more than 4 weeks.
Yeah.
But the Swedish study you talk about found the same association.
Right.
Until you did the sibling studies.
Yes.
And then the association disappeared.
Yes.
Now, for those who aren't across sibling studies, you might go, well, who cares about, I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
Sibling study. Okay, the problem is, let me take a step back.
Yeah.
The problem with when you're using pissy little studies with not so many people,
Yes.
which a lot of those other studies were,
Yes.
is it opens up the prospect of what they call confounding factors.
That's right.
Where there's such a small sample size that basically there's the possibility of muddying up your data with other factors that are messing with the results.
Yeah.
right?
Other factors that have some kind of connection to both your dependent variable and your independent variable.
Like, I'll give you a great example. Let's say what is causing the autism is a fever.
That's right.
Then it's very, very difficult to separate
Yes.
the fever causing the autism than the people taking paracetamol to treat the fever.
Exactly, yeah. And if
from
you
the
are
autism.
taking paracetamol for 4 weeks, you know, you've got some kind of serious health problem going on there, which could well be connected to autism.
And there could be environmental factors. There could be there could be some people in a polluted area.
Yes.
There could be some people. It could be age. Like there has been a link proven between the age of the parents and autism. Like, so there could be all kinds of other factors messing with your data when you've got a small sample size.
Yes.
The thing about sibling studies is they take the same parents, the same environment, the same everything, except for one of them had Tylenol or paracetamol and the other one didn't. In all other factors, since they're siblings in the same house, it was the same situation. So that removes as many confounding factors as possible.
That's right.
That's why it's like gold standard.
Yep.
And so this Swedish study, when they didn't do the sibling studies, and they just looked at 2.4 million without considering siblings, they found the same associations. But when they did look at the sibling studies, the association disappeared.
That's right.
What that tells you is that the problem is the quality of the data.
Yes.
Not the paracetamol. So go on from there.
Yeah. So yes, the link is not really there.
No. Well, at least it's in extreme doubt.
Yes. Yeah. However, yes, the problems that come with fevers in pregnancy are very well known.
Yes.
So just the cost benefit here, what's actually going to do more harm? Advising pregnant women not to take Tylenol is going to do more harm.
And that's also from the people doing the research.
Yes.
I'm going to quote them. These are the people who actually say there's a link, who say there's an association.
Yes.
They say patients who need fever or pain reduction during pregnancy should take the lowest effective dose of acetaminophen, that's paracetamol, for the shortest possible duration after consultation with their physician. And that is exactly the medical advice that pregnant women have been given for decades.
Yes.
Nothing has changed. These are the people who, the scientists who are advocating for this, are saying you should do exactly the same thing as you have always done if you're a pregnant woman.
Now, just think about this. Think of, for decades, the way that this information has been disseminated. It's been disseminated through doctors.
Yep.
It's been disseminated in consultation between patients and doctors, resulting in probably the best outcomes. What RFK is now doing is chucking the word Tylenol into the public discourse along with autism, claiming that there's some kind of link in pregnancy. That is a far, far more chaotic way and destructive way of doing it.
I agree, but I do want to also at least give credit to RFK that he was relatively responsible with his language.
Okay.
Like, I mean, I don't know if you watched him in the press conference as opposed to Trump. But the other people, including RFK, were, I think, quite responsible in the language they used. I mean, Macquarie couldn't have been better. I want to read you what the FDA Commissioner, Marty Macquarie, was what he wrote to doctors.
Yep.
While an association between acetaminophen and autism has been described in many studies, a causal relationship has not been established, and there are contrary studies in the scientific literature.
Yes.
The association is an ongoing area of scientific debate, and clinicians should be aware of the issue in their clinical decision-making, especially given that most short-term fevers in pregnant women and young children do not require medication. In the spirit of patient safety and prudent medicine, clinicians should consider minimising the use of acetaminophen during pregnancy for routine low-grade fevers. That's pretty careful wording.
That's very careful wording.
And while some might say we don't need to go there at this point in time because the evidence is so mixed, read bad.
Yeah.
If you're going to go there, it's not a bad way. Like that's the kind of doctory advice we're used to.
That is.
And look, an RFK wasn't too far off that. He wasn't quite that good, but he wasn't too far off that. But he wasn't the one that people were going to remember.
No.
From that press conference, there was only one person who they're going to remember, and it was none of the people that we've mentioned so far.
Yes.
It was one Donald J. Trump.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, who just parachuted himself in.
Well, for a start, it was called Autism Announcement.
Yes.
Right. And he actually telegraphed that he was going to talk about this at Charlie Kirk's funeral.
Yes, he did.
Right. Yeah. So, there's going to be this big autism announcement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is the way he talked about it.
So taking Tylenol is not good. All right, I'll say it. It's not good. But with Tylenol, don't take it. Don't take it.
That's a different kind of vibe. To
very,
Macquarie.
very different kind of. My God, he was wearing a blue tie.
Oh.
Is that like the medical tie?
Maybe.
Yeah, okay.
Very calming, I thought.
Yeah. Yeah. Just don't take it. It's a bad vibe. Do you remember all those years ago, like 25 years ago now?
Is this your Brunner?
No. When Oprah Winfrey said that she would never eat another hamburger again due to mad cow disease.
Oh, yes, yeah.
And a bunch of cattle ranchers sued her.
Yeah, that's
she actually won that case on First Amendment grounds.
Yeah.
But if you were the manufacturer of Tylenol and you heard not just the president of the United States, but a president who has a uniquely powerful influence over the personal lives of about a third of the population of the United States, you would be panicking.
Their stock has dropped 15% this month.
Yeah.
Okay. We're talking about Kenvue here.
Yeah, fine. Maybe no one should have a lot of sympathy with big pharmaceutical companies, but
they've been pretty diplomatic so far.
Well, of course, you have to be in this environment. Yeah, they're not going to do the Oprah Winfrey thing.
No, they've got a. This is the quote I've got from them. We believe independent sound science clearly shows that taking acetaminophen does not cause autism. We strongly disagree with any suggestion otherwise, and are deeply concerned with the health risk this poses for expecting mothers.
Yes.
They're being restrained so far. We'll see where that goes. This might be a massive lawsuit coming soon.
Yeah.
It might be.
Yeah.
So Trump, as you say, he was a different cat. Not that he prepared a huge amount for this.
Effective immediately, the FDA will be notifying physicians that the use of let's see how we say that. Acetaminophen. Is that okay?
He clearly has never read that word before in his life. And he was spreading all kinds of bullshit rumors.
I will say there are parts of the world that don't take Tylenol. I mean, there's a rumor, and I don't know if it's so or not, that Cuba, they don't have Tylenol because they don't have the money for Tylenol. And they have virtually no autism, okay? Tell me about that one.
I will tell you about that one. In 2023, Cuba had a higher rate of diagnosed autistic children than America. That's that one. And then that all this stuff is just the warm-up.
Yes.
Because then the bulk of his speech was taken up with him talking about shit which had nothing to do with autism, like vaccines.
The other thing that I can tell you that I'll say that they will maybe say at a little bit later date, but I think when you go for the shot, you do it over a 5-time period. Take it over 5 times or 4 times, but you take it in smaller doses and you spread it out over a period of years. And they pump so much stuff into those beautiful little babies, it's a disgrace. I don't see it. I think it's very bad. They're pumping, it looks like they're pumping into a horse. You have a little child, little fragile child, and you get a vat of 80 different vaccines, I guess, 80 different blends, and they pump it in. So ideally, a woman won't take Tylenol.
Yeah, we're back to Tylenol. Remember that? Remember this is about Tylenol, remember? If you think he's finished then, nah, he's not finished. He was back half an hour later. He's still going.
If you're pregnant, don't take Tylenol. When you have your baby, don't give your baby Tylenol at all, unless it's absolutely necessary. Don't do it. Break up your visits to the doctors. Break them up. Do it in 5 if you can. Now, it's inconvenient. It's inconvenient. Oh, you got to have to go back another year later. You're going to go back each year for 4 years, 5 years, 3 years. Just break it up. Break it up because it's too much liquid. Too many different things are going into that baby at too big a number. The size of this thing, when you look at it, it's like 80 different vaccines and beyond vaccines, and 80.
Beyond vaccines.
It's too much liquid. Look, I do not have children, okay, but I know plenty of people who have had children, plenty of people who have had babies.
Yep.
And if there's one thing that I understand about this whole experience, it's that liquid plays a pretty big role in the whole experience. Like, there's no shortage of liquids.
I'm here to tell you that babies have lots of liquid.
Yes.
They really do. And just to be clear,
yeah,
because it is a bit confusing when he goes on like this. 80? No. He's talking about the MMR vaccine here.
Yes.
Okay, let's count together, shall we?
Yes.
MMR. That's 3. Not 80. 3. Right? And AKIP.
Yes.
RFK's hand-picked vaccine panel.
Mm-hmm.
These are the dudes all the doctors are worried about,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
They considered this exact question last week, and they support the MMR vaccine as it
Yes.
stands. There's a reason for it. If you spread them out, like he said, it will take 3 or 4 or 5 years to get all those vaccines, and you'll expose the baby or the toddler to measles, mumps, or rubella.
It is not about convenience, Dr. Trump. It's about efficacy.
And while we're at it,
yes,
the AKIP board didn't just consider the MMR vaccine, they also considered the hepatitis B vaccine.
That's right.
And the fact that it is currently administered to newborn babies. Should they push it back, they wondered. They voted on it and decided no, let's not push it back. But Dr. Trump has a different view.
Jesus.
Hepatitis B is sexually transmitted. There's no reason to give a baby that's almost just born hepatitis B. So I would say wait till the baby is 12 years old and formed and take hepatitis B.
There you go, Dave.
Hepatitis B was one of the first vaccines to become politicized. This was in Texas about 20 years ago. It's because of this association with sex, right? Because the claim was This is basically encouraging children to have sex. Because you've immunised them from hepatitis B. That is not the only way to get to hepatitis B.
No, you can just catch it from being in the house with someone who has hepatitis B.
That's right.
Yes. That's why they give it to babies.
There are people who have hepatitis B who have children.
Yeah.
Shockingly.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Or there are people who live in houses with babies who have hepatitis B.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, not the most common thing in the world, but still worth getting vaccinated against.
Certainly is, but Trump disagrees. Why is he talking about this during an announcement about autism and Tylenol? I don't understand.
This is what I'm really worried about. It just becomes you get all of these words put together in the public discourse.
Yeah.
Autism, pregnancy, Tylenol, vaccine, hepatitis B.
Liquid.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so the response of many people is going to be, holy shit, just avoid all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you're probably right. Interestingly, before we think about the ramifications here,
Yes.
Trump is actually the proof that RFK's theory is wrong. RFK's theory, if you recall,
Yes.
is that when people are skeptical, you can reassure them by getting a bunch of skeptics in and reconsidering the science.
Right.
That's his theory,
Yes,
right? And he's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh, people, I'm not anti-vaccine. All I'm saying is that there are legitimate questions that people ask, and the way you reassure them is by re-examining the science again. Now, like that's his theory, right?
Yes.
Okay. In this case here, he's got the people in. His ACEP panel.
Yep.
He's got his new ACEP panel in.
Yep.
His panel of skeptics. They've examined these questions.
Yes.
And they haven't reassured the president.
No, they have not.
They've reassured no one.
Yeah.
Like there's a real Steve Carell in the Office vibe about
Yes,
this.
yeah. I think I doubt that Trump was a vaccine skeptic 20 years ago.
No, I think he was.
Really?
Yeah, actually, it's funny.
Oh, okay.
John on Planet
stand
America
corrected.
actually just talked about that.
Yeah.
That when he had Barron, like he got his vaccine separated with Barron.
Okay.
What he's saying now is what he did with Barron.
Oh, okay.
Because he got in his head right then that there was too much liquid.
Too much liquid.
So this
baby's disgusting.
So there's a long-term obsession for Trump that RFK just played right into. But yeah, as I say with the Steve Carell thing, like you got Trump's employees.
Yes.
Are trying to do something vaguely professional here while working around his insane demands.
Yes, yeah.
But then President Carell just stumbles through the middle, completely takes over, says a bunch of stupid shit that just buggers everything up while they stand behind him looking distraught on cutaways.
Yes.
All we need is that rec room where they can talk to the camera to hear what Bada Korea actually thinks.
Yes.
I'd love that camera. But anyway, it didn't help.
No.
He can't bugger it up.
Did not help at all.
He can't bugger it up. So you have a situation now where pregnant women are going to have three options.
Yep.
One option is to panic and feel guilty.
Yes.
Another option is to take ibuprofen, which is worse and can cause miscarriages.
Yep.
The third option is to do nothing, to, as Trump puts it, tough it out, and then have a huge fever, which can cause miscarriage, birth defects, premature birth, etc. One scientist told Bloomberg, according to her research, the risk of the diagnosis was 40% higher in kids whose mothers didn't use paracetamol while feverish than those who did.
Yes.
So that is the wages of Trump's efforts. You got other thoughts?
Sorry, for those listening, I'm shaking my head.
You got other thoughts?
No.
No. Okay, well, let's move on. You want to talk about the Charlie Kirk Memorial.
Look, I do.
Yeah.
Yes. So, I don't want to talk about the memorial as a whole. What I really want to talk about are two speeches, two moments, two of the most significant, the final two speeches, which was Erica Kirk's speech and Donald Trump's speech.
Please.
So let's look first of all at what Erica Kirk said about Charlie Kirk's killer.
That young man on the cross, our Savior said, Father, forgive them, for they not know what they do. That man, that young man, I forgive him. I forgive him because it was what Christ did and is what Charlie would do. The answer to hate is not hate. The answer we know from the gospel is love, and always love. Love for our enemies and love for those who persecute us.
Now, leaving aside the incredibly tasteless Chirons, for those of you who couldn't see
I
them,
wasn't watching them. What were they saying?
advertising We Are Charlie Kirk wristbands.
I didn't see that.
Fucking hell. I had not actually seen the Turning Point USA version of that. But okay.
Have love for those wristbands.
Yeah. Leaving that aside,
Yes.
that is a statement of pure Christian ethics. She is talking about the words of Jesus Christ in the Gospels there. She's talking about his words on the cross. She is at least referring to the things that he said in the Sermon on the Mount, the command to love your enemy. Okay, let's now have a look at what Trump had to say.
He did not hate his opponents. He wanted the best for them. That's where I disagreed with Charlie. I hate my opponent, and I don't want the best for them. I'm sorry. I am sorry, Erica. But now Erica can talk to me and the whole group, and maybe they can convince me that that's not right, but I can't stand my opponent. Charlie's angry. Looking down, he's angry at me now.
Now, okay, you can... I think there's a legitimate argument there about how serious he was being.
I took that as a joke
when he said that. But there's been a lot of discourse about, okay, you have these two polar opposite statements. Both of them get applause from the audience. And so what exactly does that mean? Some just take this as absolute rank hypocrisy. David French, who is one of the few opinion writers who I think is consistently worth reading, actually talked about what MAGA people have been saying about it, which is this is basically two different elements of Christianity. So Erica Kirk is talking about what Jesus himself issued as a personal moral injunction. This is your responsibility as an individual Christian to love your enemy. But when they look at how politics should actually be organized, they turn to Romans 13, which is written by Paul, which actually has something to say about the administration of justice, including the violent administration of justice in some cases. And they say, look, you know, what Erica Kirk was talking about is the stuff that you find in the Sermon on the Mount. What Trump is talking about is the stuff that you find in Romans 13. However, David French said, in Romans 13, it makes it very clear it is supposed to be a system of justice, not a system of vengeance. That even if there's violence involved, which there will be in this case, Utah has the death penalty. Yeah. Most likely it is going to be administered. David French has no problem with that. He's got a huge problem with encouraging violent vengeance against your enemies, which is what he took Trump and also Stephen Miller, who I'm not even going to show that because it's just awful.
I was going to.
Oh, okay, you can. Yeah, you can if you want.
Yeah, you finish your point first.
Yes, yeah. But okay, so that was David French's read on it based on his understanding of evangelical subculture. I've got a slightly different take on this though, right? Which is that people have been asking for years, okay, how is it that evangelical Christians love Trump so much when his whole life is lived in such opposition to Christian ethics?
Yeah.
Okay. And I mean, this was asked from the beginning in terms of this is a man who's been divorced 3 times, cheated on all of his wives, had, talked about bragging about sexual assault, had a scandal of paying off a porn star. But even, leaving all the sex stuff aside, that stuff, I hate my enemies, basically I wish for vengeance on my enemies, that is deeply against Christian ethics. And so there's always been this question of why can they support him? Now, that question, I've got to say, often it's not asked in very good faith. It's a way of just highlighting Christian hypocrisy rather than a serious avenue of inquiry. If you treat it as a serious avenue of inquiry, then my answer is this. One of the reasons why Trump appeals politically to evangelical Christians is because he is unconstrained by Christian morality. Christianity, when you take it very seriously, is an ethically demanding religion. The injunction to love your enemy, that in many ways just really goes against human nature.
Yeah.
And this is one of the things that makes Christianity so radical and which really opens up the possibilities of a different world altogether. Like a rejection of politics as we understand it, which is, so often based on the kind of friend-enemy distinction. This is like the abolition of international borders. The idea that you should love your enemy, right? So it is very ethically demanding. And I thought that one of the things that Erica Kirk really highlighted as she talked about this is how difficult it is, how ethically demanding it is. But that is what the ethical demand is. Now, I'm going to go back to things that I've heard my dad say over the years, because my dad for a long time was an ordained Christian minister. I mean, he is still ordained. You never get unordained, but he's retired from ministry. But I remember him saying that Jewish law, as expressed in the Old Testament, this is fundamentally about holding a community together, a community that often faces existential peril. And so this is where you actually see the kind of laws that are a lot more familiar to us and are familiar to our politics. And that's not all about loving your enemy. This is where the phrase an eye for an eye comes from. And he was saying that for all of the kind of ethical beauty of Christianity and for, the amazing possibilities that it opens up of a better world, it's not a particularly good foundation for a system of political organization. Like it's actually very hard to build a legal system or to build a political system based on the teachings of Jesus. Now, I think that what a lot of conservative American Christians have felt over time is just that their own leaders have been completely ineffective. Not just their political leaders, their religious leaders as well. That no matter what their political leaders and their religious leaders have been promising ever since the 1970s, from their point of view, the country gets less Christian every year. The culture gets more secular and more hostile towards them all the time. More and more laws are passed that just seem to be in direct contradiction to God's law. And for them, it's not just a religious crisis, it's a political crisis, because they believe that the United States was founded on a covenant between God and the American people. And that if you abandon that covenant, if you don't live up to that side of the covenant, this is going to mean very bad things for the country. As well as that, there is this widespread belief among American Christians, not just that they're losing control of the culture, but that they are being actively persecuted. Now, I'm not suggesting that they're correct in that, but that is a very widespread perception. So they loved Ronald Reagan. In the end, Ronald Reagan didn't do very much for them at all. And this was at the peak of the power of the Christian right in the United States, because there's not much the president can actually do about issues that Christians care about, most of which involve laws at state and local level. There's things like the global gag rule, and he certainly spoke in the right language, but there wasn't much that he could do. from 2000 to 2008, we have George W. Bush, who Hannah Rosen once described as the evangelical pope. At that point, the record holder of the evangelical vote, 75% of the evangelical vote. What did George W. Bush do for evangelical voters? There was I think there was a ban on stem cell research for a while. There was the Terry Schiavo thing. If you remember, did any of this have really long-lasting, effects that ushered in a golden age for evangelicals? No. And where were their own religious leaders during all of this? Were they really taking the fight to Congress? Were they taking the fight to the White House? Were they demanding that George W. Bush actually act on behalf of the constituency that put them there?
They're often in public toilets.
Leaving that comment aside, they were all off doing Christian stuff in very Christian ways. And I think that evangelical Christians got very frustrated and started to blame it on the moral constraints that their own leaders faced. On the fact that on some level you have to love your enemy. On the fact that, you turn the other cheek when you're assaulted. That they wanted somebody who was going to fight back. Now, once again, I'm not saying that this whole worldview is correct or that I agree with it. I'm talking about what their perception was. They didn't want a Sunday school teacher.
No.
They had a Sunday school teacher. His name was Jimmy Carter, and he sucked from their point of view. Even though he got, at the time, the record number of evangelical votes, they wanted a fighter. And they see Trump, they see someone who is not going to be constrained by the morality of their own religion. And as we've been talking about on PEP now for about 5 years, because I remember talking about this, I think, back in episode 3,
Yes.
This is why he gets specifically likened to figures in the Bible who are not actually part of God's religion, but who are nonetheless chosen by God to do his will, such as King Cyrus. Yeah, you've heard me say this so many times, of the Persian, the pagan king, who is, who is chosen by God to do his will. And apologies to the Peppers who have heard some version of this sermon of mine many times before. To asking Chaz about what did he do on Saturday mornings, was it real estate auctions? On Sunday mornings, I heard my dad's sermons. Right. And ministers are a little bit like stand-up comedians. They're not coming up with fresh material every week. I heard my dad's Good Samaritan sermon so many times I could probably recite it, to this day. By the way, my dad gave me, probably when I was 9 years old, the most valuable public speaking advice I ever received.
What was that?
Which is we were on our way to a wedding, and he said, a wedding sermon should never go for longer than 7 minutes. He was absolutely right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that has been
Go Dad.
my kind of golden rule of public speaking for my whole life, which is actually say it as quickly as possible.
Do you do a lot of wedding sermons?
Keep within time limits. No. But, keep within time limits because you don't have your audience's attention forever. No, I realise the insane hypocrisy of saying this as the clock hits the 2 minute 16 mark. But, Dad, Jesus had nothing to say about podcasts.
Fair enough.
Anyway, but the point that I'm making is this genuine emotional response that you see both to what Charlie Kirk's widow says and to what Donald Trump says. These things are not in contradiction.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, this is the religious side and the political side, which I mean, similar point to what David French was saying, but I think it's a bit difficult. I think it's a bit different. I don't even think that they're thinking about Romans 13. I think they want somebody who is not constrained by religious morality at all, and that's what they have got with Donald Trump.
I mean, look, I think as a well-made point, I feel a bit silly going back to what I had there before, but yeah, I'm going to do it anyway because
do it.
Like I said, I can't let anything go.
No,
and I am of the view
Yep.
I just want to make one point essentially with these clips.
Yes.
And that is, I am of the view that Trump was joking
Okay.
when he said that Charlie Kirk thing, even though he's not being treated like he was joking by many people. But I don't think it matters.
No.
And I'll tell you why I don't think it matters.
Okay.
Number one, Carolyn Levitt was asked about this, and she could have just said, duh, it's a joke. That's not what she said. This is what she said.
Oh, dear.
Okay, so we heard from Erica Kirk. She said she forgives the man who shot and killed her husband. And then right after that, we heard from the president who said, I hate my opponent and I don't want the best for them. How does that square with bringing down the temperature of political violence in this country? And then, if I could, I had a follow-up on Venezuela, too.
Look, the president is authentically himself. I think that's why millions of Americans across the country love him and support him, including Erica Kirk.
There you go. She didn't say it was joking. She said he's just being himself.
Yes.
So that's the first thing. And the second thing is, you don't want to hear him, but I just don't think you can have all these thoughts and discussions without noting that Stephen Miller, they ain't no joking with him.
No.
He is 100% serious, and he made Trump look like a preschool teacher.
Yes.
Let's have a look at Stephen Miller.
And to those trying to incite violence against us, those trying to foment hatred against us, what do you have? You have nothing. You are nothing. You are wickedness, you are jealousy, you are envy, you are hatred. You are nothing. You can build nothing. You can produce nothing. You can create nothing.
How much there does he remind you of Kevin Spacey playing the murderer in Seven?
Shit, yes.
He's got that vibe.
Yes.
But anyway, yeah, he's not joking.
No.
And he is genuine fire and brimstone.
Yeah, and look, he's not particularly pretending to be religious there.
No, but he's part of the Trump package.
Yeah, but this is the thing. He's got the pure Nietzschean spirit, right? So he's the one who transmits the the kind of idea that you don't want all of this weakness, right? The Nietzschean criticism of Christianity was that it gave people sympathy with losers, basically. It made people identify with victims rather than victors. And, this got in the way of the building of great things and the accomplishment of great things, like what the Greeks and Romans pre-Christianity had done. That's the spirit that I see in the Stephen Miller speech. Now, that is really at odds with Christianity, but Trumpism is capacious enough to really contain this kind of Nietzschean streak within it, which is also what Trump himself is a lot closer to.
Yeah,
like you don't want a religion of losers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. So I'm thinking, even if on that one instance he's joking, I think that the message that you were interpreting from a serious version of the same thing, I think is valid.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yep.
Unless you have something else to say about that, I reckon let's go to H-1B visas because we're running out of time.
Okay,
before
yes.
You have to go.
Yes, yep.
Yeah. Okay, so H-1B visas, for those who don't know, they apply to foreign workers with bachelor's degrees and job offers from US employers in certain specialty occupations.
Yep.
They're a way of getting a skilled employee, essentially, from overseas, because you're not supposed to just import willy-nilly employees.
No.
But if there's a special skill which it's hard to get amongst native-born workers, then get them from overseas. That makes sense, right? You're supposed to pay them at the market wages, so you're not just importing in sweatshop workers or something like that to undercut American workers. And they put a very strict cap on them as well to make sure that that people aren't reducing the number of opportunities available for American workers.
Yes.
There are 85,000 H-1B visas generally per year. 20,000 of those are reserved for individuals who have a master's degree or higher from a US institution. But there's a huge over demand. In 2023, 446,000 people sought an H-1B visa,
Yep.
and only 85,000 got it. So what they do is they have a lottery,
Yes.
essentially. Okay, so that's what an H-1B visa
Yes.
is.
And you have to be sponsored by an employer.
Yes,
Yep.
you do. Yes, you do. Yes. So what Trump has done is he has increased the cost of an H-1B visa
Yes.
from the, it's not cheap, $995
Yes.
to the, that's not cheap, $100,000.
Yes.
That's just to apply. That's right. I mean, to get it as well.
Yes.
That's an increase of over 10,000% if you're doing the maths. Now, there was a lot of confusion about this.
Yes.
Yes.
It was announced in a very confusing way.
Yes. Take it away.
So the original announcement suggested that you had by midnight.
Yes.
On how many days was it after the announcement?
I don't remember.
I think it was 2 days after the announcement.
It wasn't much, yeah.
After that, anybody coming into the country on an H-1B visa would have to pay the $100,000 application fee.
Yeah. And people are thinking, does that mean if I leave the country to
Yes.
come back in,
Well,
I need $100,000?
this is the thing. The immigration lawyers were immediately all over this, and they saw that that's what the language seemed to suggest. So there were people on holidays visiting their families overseas who were getting phone calls from immigration lawyers saying, get straight back here. There was widely circulated footage on an Emirates flight where there were a lot of Indian and Chinese H-1B visa workers on it, apparently, where everyone seems to have got the same message at once. And, basically people are just getting off the flight, before it takes off. So it was incredibly chaotic and confusing and upsetting, yes, and probably led to a lot of cancelled holidays as a result.
Yeah. Carolyn Levitt clarified then.
Yes.
She clarified, to be clear, 1, this is not an annual fee. It's a one-time fee that applies only to the petition. 2, those who already hold H-1B visas and are currently outside of the country right now will not be charged $100,000 to re-enter. H-1B visa holders can leave and re-enter the country to the same extent as they normally would. Whatever ability they have to do that is not impacted by yesterday's proclamation. 3, this applies only to new visas, not renewals, and not current visa holders. It will first apply in the next upcoming lottery cycle.
Those are pretty important clarifications. Probably would have been good if that came with the original announcement.
Yes.
But the Trump administration accused all of these immigration lawyers whose job it is to look at these laws and see how they apply to their clients as propagating fake news.
I'm pretty sure that Howard Lutnick, after that, was still saying it was $100,000 a year.
A year, yes.
So there's a lot of
saying
confusion.
that it was going to be a recurring fee.
Yeah, so there's a lot of confusion there. We should say, sorry, just quickly before you pick it up, Dave.
Yep.
Also, they do have exemptions.
Yes.
There's an exemption when the hiring of such aliens to be employed as H-1B specialty occupation workers is in the national interest and does not pose a threat to the security or welfare of the United States. Now, you might hear that and you might go to yourself, well, that's good. There's some common sense there that if something's useful, then they can make an exception. But I hear that and I think corruption.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it actually specifies it's the Secretary of Homeland Security who determines that.
Yeah.
In other words, it's at Kristi Noem's discretion whether a company is going to pay the $100,000 fee for its H-1B workers or not.
Jeez.
It's not a suggestion of corruption here. This is just a direct extension of more government leverage over tech companies.
Yeah.
That is the main thing that I see going on here. This has given Trump another very useful tool to get companies to do what he wants.
And Dave, you're right.
Yes.
Before we started the podcast, Dave was like, I think we're going to have exactly the same view about what the H-1B visa is all about. And you're right. I think this is about leverage.
We know how the Trump administration works at this point.
Yeah.
We know that for Trump, capitalism is about power. It's not about markets. It's not about competition. It's about power.
Yeah.
There'll be plenty on the left who'll say the best thing about the Trump administration is that he has made that clear to everybody, that this is how really it's always worked. He has just stripped away all of the bullshit, pageantry, and self-deluded ideology and stripped it right back to what it is all about, which is power. There's no such thing as crony capitalism. There is just capitalism. So anyway.
Also, they are planning to mandate an increase in the minimum wage for H-1B workers.
Yes.
To basically price them out of the market
Yeah.
for low-skilled workers. Because they're saying at the moment, we will get into how this happens in a second. At the moment, H-1B visas, they say, are abused to basically import lower wage workers to replace low wage American workers.
Yes.
And so they say, well, the way we stop that is by you give them a ridiculously high minimum wage.
Yes.
So that they would never be economical to replace a low skilled worker from America. In fact, they want to raise the minimum wage. They haven't said numbers yet, but apparently they want to raise it so high it would even price out senior managers. They want it to be really, really high. I love that they wouldn't even consider raising the minimum wage for people who need it.
No.
Just
You're still on $7 an hour, buddy.
Yeah, but they only raise the minimum wage as a punishment for immigrants.
Yes.
That's the only way they would consider it. So, yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, you were about to say something.
Now, okay, even though the announcement of this was very sudden and confusing, this is not some new thing.
No, they tried in 2020.
Yeah. And there have been complaints about H-1B visas going way back, many of them coming from Democrats.
Yep.
Yeah, so Dick Durbin pointed out a long time ago, he said what this allows foreign companies to do is basically to send their employees to the United States for 3 years and get paid for it.
The visas are 3 years.
Yeah. Although they can be extended to 6 years. Yeah. So they send their employees to the United States for a number of years. They, especially for tech employees, they basically learn from the masters how to do it all, how it all works. Then then what happens to these workers after that? They go back to their own countries and work for foreign companies that are competing with American companies.
Yeah.
So this has been derided as corporate welfare.
Yep.
And it's been derided as corporate welfare that just directly actually hurts American companies in the long term by making foreign companies more competitive with them. Yep. So, Trump didn't invent this outrage about H-1B visas. There have been a lot of people concerned about H-1B visas for a long time. It's never been the biggest populist issue out there because it involves a relatively small number of fairly highly paid immigrants in fairly specialized industries. It's not like H-1B visa holders are keeping American high school graduates out of jobs. But there is an argument that they're keeping American college graduates out of jobs. Yep. That, only something like 30 to 50% of STEM graduates are actually employed in STEM fields. Once they graduate, that H-1B visa holders, historically, often they've been paid basically about 3/4 of what an equivalent American worker would get paid. That they basically price older and more senior American workers out of the market. There are all kinds of complaints about H-1B visas.
The critiques are legitimate.
They are legitimate, yeah.
They are legitimate.
I'm very pro-immigration, and I recognise these complaints as legitimate.
Totally. The share of IT workers with H-1B visas has risen from 32% in 2003 to 65% recently. You shouldn't need to import IT workers.
No.
With an H-1B visa. There are plenty of potential IT workers in America.
Yes, and it's exploitative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course.
It's basically a guest worker visa that pays you less.
Also, it is true when they say that the lottery is completely rigged.
Yes. Yeah.
It is totally rigged. And it's really obvious and I was very clear to see how they rig it.
Yeah.
If you're trying to get some special talented individual, right? You only need one or two of them, right?
Yeah.
You're not going to get them from the lottery.
No.
Because you've only got a 1 in 6 chance
Yeah.
for each application, right?
Yeah.
You might, but
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
just not much of a chance,
No.
right? But if you're an outsourcing company that just wants a bunch of dogs' bodies to pay below minimum wage, this is perfect. Because what you do is you apply for 1,000 workers through the H-1B visa program, not one or two, 1,000.
Yeah.
You might get 200 of them.
Yeah.
Doesn't really matter. You'll take what none of them are important.
Yes.
They're all just interchangeable drones, essentially.
That's right.
So you can apply for 10,000, a million. It doesn't really matter.
Yes.
And whatever you get, if that's below the number that you need in total, great.
Yeah.
Use them and exploit them.
Yeah.
If that's above the number that you need, then just don't go through the applications for some of them. Just take your lottery and move on. That's exactly what they do.
Yeah.
That's exactly what they do. And so IT staffers and outsourcers,
Yep.
they in 2023, they were responsible for 40% of all H-1B visas.
Yes.
Outsourcers.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
In the current climate, obviously not very popular. Which raises really raises the question, what does America actually get out of this, apart from what its economic elites get out of it? The biggest answer, I would say, is soft power.
Yeah.
This is along with the number of graduate students that the United States attracts from other countries, particularly the link with India and the tech industry. This has been an important tool of soft power for the United States.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you a libertarian answer, though.
Okay, yeah.
Which is, first of all, this is a logical answer, not a libertarian answer, just a straight logical answer. They get doctors.
Yeah.
Because
that's true.
Because American native-born doctors aren't going to rural Ohio.
That's true.
Right? But a Pakistani doctor might.
Yep.
Right? And so an extraordinary percentage of the rural and underserved area doctors in America are foreign.
That is a very good point.
So that's the first thing they get. But the libertarian argument is H-1B workers specifically, not the ones that are rigged, but the ones that are doing what they're meant to be doing, specifically facilitate higher rates of innovation.
Yes, I've seen this argument made.
They're often tech workers, right? Like tech geniuses and all the rest of it. They're associated with a jump in patents. Like when you have a lot of H-1B visas, you have a lot higher level of patents if you're that kind of industry. The companies that have them introduce more new products and hire more native-born workers because their productivity is higher.
Yes.
So they are having more profits and more hiring of everyone. From 1990 to 2010, rising numbers of H-1B holders were according to one study, caused 30 to 50% of all productivity growth in total in the US economy. Which means the jobs and wages of most Americans depends in some measure on these workers.
Yeah.
A 2015 study found that increases in H-1B holders at the municipal level correlated with wage gains for native-born workers in those municipal areas, both college educated and non-college educated, because the whole area was becoming richer as a result.
Yeah.
So, and also skilled labour attracts investment generally. The larger the pool of STEM workers in a given city, and these people are almost all STEM workers.
Yes.
The more incentive that tech companies have to open or expand operations there, put money in the city. So another study I've got.
Yeah.
The reason goes crazy with this stuff.
Oh, of course.
Another study found that firms that win a government lottery, allowing them to hire H-1B workers, produce 27% more than otherwise identical firms that don't win the lottery. In terms of just product. Once again, productivity.
Yep.
And they employ more immigrants, but they don't employ fewer natives.
Yes.
So that's good news. And one more. When an influx of H-1B workers raised a US city's share of foreign tech workers by 1%, during 1990 to 2010, that caused 7 to 8% higher wages for college-educated workers and 3 to 4% higher wages for non-college educated workers. That's a different study to the one I said before.
Yeah.
There's lots of different studies on this.
Yes.
So that's the answer to your question. You get richer as long as it's not rigged.
Yes.
That's the problem.
Right.
So you need to find a way to have this kind of system without it being rigged and rorted.
Yeah. And basically the system's getting more rigged and more rorted.
Yeah, it is.
Now, it's not going away.
No.
Yeah, there might not even be a reduction of the number of people on H-1B visas.
Yeah.
They're just going to go to the companies that do what the Trump administration wants them to do.
Yeah. I haven't even talked about the law because they tried to do this in 2020. Well, not exactly this. They tried to mess with the H-1B visas. In fact, they just tried to ban them. And they did it in such a half-assed fashion.
Oh, I vaguely remember this. Yeah.
That the courts struck them down.
Yeah.
You know how hard it is to get the courts to strike down this kind of stuff with the Trump? They struck it down. They said, this is just too crap. This time around, they might follow procedures a bit better. We'll see.
Yep.
But it is going to require more than a proclamation. It's going to require a rule. Like this is a regulation, agency regulation.
Yep.
They're going to have to do a proper notice and comment rulemaking process. It'll take a couple of years if they do it right.
Yes, yeah.
Also, H-1B fees are meant to only recover costs of processing applications.
Right, yes.
Which I'm pretty sure is less than $100,000.
Yes.
So there's legal issues there. I mean, Trump's probably going to say, it's Section 1182F. You know, that's the one that gives the president the authority to basically do anything.
Yes.
When it comes to immigration.
Yeah.
This is the one they used for the Muslim travel ban.
Yes.
And like whenever they try to do something dodgy with immigration, they go, it's presidential powers under Section 1182F. So they're trying that again.
Yeah.
The courts always let them get away with it.
Yes.
So I imagine they probably will again.
Yeah.
Sorry, you got more to say about this?
No.
Okay. All right. Okay. I'll say a couple of quick things. First of all, there are other visas.
Yep.
That people can use for workers if the
Yes.
H-1B visa doesn't work, I should say.
Yep.
There's an O-1 visa for individuals with extraordinary ability or achievement, but they're supposed to be reserved for geniuses and renowned leaders in their field.
Hang on. How do you define a genius?
I got no idea. I imagine it's hard to qualify.
Yeah.
Which is why everyone uses H-1B visas. But I'm just saying there is an alternative there. I should just note that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
How you fix it? I mean, there's a few theories out there. Like I said, Reason Magazine has a lot to say about that.
Of course it does.
The Reason Magazine suggestion is rather than just distributing 85,000 slots at random, if they awarded them to 85,000 applicants offering the highest paid jobs.
Right.
They'd be real jobs.
Yes.
And you wouldn't be able to get in
Yes.
outsourcers and IT workers.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean that the problem here is the problem with this situation as well, the $100,000 situation.
Yeah.
Which is if you price it too high,
Yeah.
which is what this is requiring,
Yes.
and what the Trump version is requiring.
Yeah.
That means it's great for tech workers.
Yeah.
Elon Musk could be thrilled by that system.
Yes, yeah.
He'll get the workers he needs.
Yes.
You won't get many, say, college science researchers.
Yes.
Right? And the college science researchers, they're the ones who produce the most bang for their buck.
Yes, yeah.
They're the ones you really want.
Yes.
And they're not going to be in the top 85,000
Yes.
paid workers. And they'll never be able to afford $100,000 a worker. Because even if they had $100,000 to pay,
Yep.
when you add that to the wage of the worker,
Yes.
it's not going to be more than what those people will be paid by in Europe or Australia or other places. So America loses competitiveness against other countries because there's a $100,000 fee.
Yes, yeah.
So it then undermines all those nice libertarian positives I said before.
Yes.
So I don't know what the solution is. But there is a real problem. I'm just saying this is not a case of Trump being an idiot. Okay,
No.
there is a real problem that needs to be solved here. I don't think his solution.
I don't think this is the solution. But also, I don't think that Trump really wanted this announcement to be about this visa. Who cares about this visa? Boring.
The gold card.
Boring. This announcement was supposed to be about the gold card.
Yeah.
Now you might remember a few months ago when this idea was first floated, the idea was it would cost $5 million.
Yes, I do recall that.
For this visa, and he wanted to sell 10 million of them, which I think you worked out would raise $50 trillion in revenue or something.
Yeah, it was an unrealistic amount of
There
money.
are probably not 10 million people in the world who want to pay $5 million to become US citizens. Okay, so...
Especially, by the way, there are ways to get a green card by investing like $100,000 or $200,000 into a business.
Yeah.
And that's it.
I mean, this was a fast track to citizenship, so a little bit different.
Sure,
but anyway, the gold card has been revealed now at a much more reasonable price of $1 million.
Much more reasonable.
I say it's much more reasonable because, in all seriousness, because this is pretty similar to the kinds of numbers involved in investor visas in other countries.
Yeah.
Right? So a lot of countries have... if you're prepared to invest $1 million in the country, and there's often stipulations that come with employing certain numbers of people as well, then you can get citizenship. I think Britain has actually really started to rethink this because it was already the Wild West of money laundering, and I think this just turned out to be like a massive facilitation of money laundering. I recently read a book called All That Glitters, which was about this American based in Britain who was engaged in art fraud. And it was a particularly 21st century version of art fraud where so much art is an investment vehicle that people who buy it never see it. And it's all kept in climate-controlled warehouses in Switzerland. And so this guy worked out you could sell the same piece of art to multiple people, especially when a lot of art is now sold in share arrangements. So, he was selling like 200% of pieces of art. Anyway, it's a very entertaining book. It's by a guy called Orlando something. I can't remember his surname.
Is it going on the list?
Yeah. Put this on.
Let's go to the book
list. It's a very entertaining.
Have a look in the blurb.
Very entertaining read. But anyway, part of this is because it's a memoir written by this guy who met this guy in art school at Goldsmiths College and then was his employee. And as it went on, he could not figure out why this guy employed him at all because he was doing nothing in this commercial gallery until he eventually worked out it was just so that he could fulfill this bullshit requirement of like, you employ 2 British people and this is what guarantees you the visa. Sorry, that was a bit of a tangent.
That's okay. That's all right. I should have played the sting.
But anyway, he's still imagining a completely unrealistic number of these gold cards raising tremendous amounts of revenue.
Yes. And you're right. He probably was more excited about that part.
He was way more excited. There was a big like gold mock-up card.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Look, you might have read an entertaining book, All the Glitters, but I watched a movie called Glitter, which wasn't at all entertaining.
Oh, no.
So don't watch that.
Okay.
But we got to finish up. I just wanted to just add that, despite all the problems that I have just talked about this system, let's say they get it up, which is going to take a while to get up.
Yeah.
This is not going to be a problem under Trump because they're grandfathering all the current ones.
Yeah.
So this will only become a problem over time.
Great.
In the medium terms. This is one of those ones where he just
This is one of the many
pisses in the pool and then runs away.
I was going to use the metaphor of a time bomb, but that's a better one.
Yeah. So that's what's going on here. And in particular, what he's pissing in the pool of is, remember I said before? Doctors.
Yeah.
Like rural areas, red states, his own supporters. So anyway, Dave, we got a bit more time here, me and Lockie. You don't. So I'll say stay peppy to you.
Stay peppy, love your enemy, and why don't you try syncing up Pep with the AFL Grand Final? Just see what happens.
Hey.
Might be like syncing the Wizard of Oz and Dark Side of the Moon.
Well,
which my friend Nick, who's a big pepper, and I tried to do that many times in high school. Never worked.
Well,
but this might work.
We've got about probably 15, 20 minutes left here. So maybe you can sync the last 15, 20 minutes with the grand final. With me and Lockie see you after the white flash. Welcome to the other side of the white flash. This is Chaz Unleashed with Lucky. Hey, Lucky.
Hey, Chaz. Hello, Peppers.
That's the way. Let's talk Tom Homan, Lucky.
Ooh,
yes. Sorry, let's talk Tom Homan. This is Tom Homan.
Even that was too intelligible.
Now, back in September last year, I'll tell you a bit of a story here, Locke. Back in September last year, Tom Homan was running a private consulting business. But at the time, he had his one eye on the year after, apparently, this year. And he was telling everyone that if Trump won the election, Tom Homan, would have a very consequential post in the next Trump administration in DHS or in immigration. According to a Department of Justice summary, the FBI heard a suspect that they were investigating in Texas mention, presumably while they were being tapped or wired, that Homan was soliciting bribes in exchange for border security contracts if Trump was elected president. So he'd say that I'm up for this new position, this shiny new position.
Get the bribes in before.
Yeah, get the bribes in now while they're at a discount. So the FBI decided to run a sting on Homan. According to multiple people familiar with the probe and internal documents reviewed by MSNBC, they posed as business executives and they caught him on camera, supposedly taking from them $50,000 in cash in a shopping bag after indicating that he could help them, remember they're posing as business executives, win government contracts in a second Trump administration. Okay, now they didn't arrest him to begin with, even though this is the Biden Department of Justice, which Trump reckons is so weaponized. Yeah, that's right. Anyway, but they didn't arrest him. They decided to go by the book, and they wanted to catch him in the act. You might go, haven't they already caught him? They've caught him taking money. They haven't caught him doing anything for that money. Right? They want to make the charge stick. And the way they make the charge stick is by, they probably enough to charge him, but they want him to be found guilty. And so they want to see him actually doing what he's being paid to do. So the FBI and the Justice Department, they plan to wait to see if he would deliver on his promise once he became a top official for Trump. Shortly after Trump's inauguration, though, acting Deputy Attorney General Emil Bowe told Justice Department officials he didn't support the investigation. I'm shocked.
Whoa.
I thought Emil Bowe was all about justice.
Yeah.
I thought he was like Batman.
I mean, you also said in this pod earlier in the year that Tom Homan was becoming the most morally standing individual.
I know.
Why, Tom?
I honestly, if you'd asked me who's the least likely to be taking a crumpled up envelope with cash in it, I would have said Tom Homan. I obviously misjudged the man. Anyway.
It's hard to take him at his word when his words are...
dog eating custard. It probably didn't help that this case would have gone to the public integrity section of the Department of Justice. And if you recall what was happening to the public integrity section of the Department of Justice around February, what was happening is that they were all either resigning or being sacked. Because that was when the Eric Adams thing was happening. And all the public integrity guys were taking stands saying, you can't dismiss the corruption charges for Eric Adams. That's corrupt. We can't do that. And they were resigning. One after another, they were resigning. And this is the downside of good lawyers resigning from a dodgy administration.
Yeah, wow.
There's no one left in the public integrity section. Certainly no one with integrity. So the case was then stalled until the last couple of weeks. And then Trump appointees officially closed the investigation after Kash Patel requested a status update, and he wasn't very impressed.
With the FBI's investigation.
Well, yeah, with the state investigation. I guess he just didn't think there was anything in it. Well, that's what he says. The joint statement. He actually put out a joint statement with Todd Blanche, the Deputy Attorney General. This matter originated under the previous administration, was subjected to a full review by FBI agents and Justice Department prosecutors. They found no credible evidence of any criminal wrongdoing. The department's resources must remain focused on real threats to the American people, not baseless investigations. As a result, the investigation has been closed. No, they didn't say there was no evidence. They said there was no credible evidence, which means they are judging it to not be credible. This is what Trump had to say about it. See if you find his denial convincing.
Tom Homan, did you see the reporting on Tom Homan accepting? Okay, on UNGA?
Well, that was fast. That was really fast. Tom Homan, no, don't finish the question. Don't finish the sentence. Don't say another word. Never heard of the man. Let's move on. He couldn't have gotten out there fast enough.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm not convinced by that. But this is what Carolyn Levitt had to say about the story.
And does Homan have to return the $50,000?
Well, Mr. Homan never took the $50,000 that you're referring to, so you should get your facts straight, number one. Number two, this was another example of the weaponization of the Biden Department of Justice against one of President Trump's strongest and most vocal supporters in the midst of a presidential campaign. You had FBI agents going undercover to try and entrap one of the president's top allies and supporters, someone who they knew very well would be taking a government position months later. Mr. Homan did absolutely nothing wrong, and even the President's Department of Justice, even Kash Patel's FBI, looked into this just to make sure. They had a number of different prosecutors and FBI agents who looked into this. They found zero evidence of illegal activity or criminal wrongdoing.
Wow, even Kash Patel found nothing on him. I bet Kash Patel looked really hard. Also, as far as this whole, the Biden administration started the investigation goes, so therefore it's all biased. Like, yeah, it started in the Biden administration, but it came from a field investigation in Texas. They might have been red state dudes. Like, it's certainly no suggestion of political bias. I mean, they didn't even leak a breath of this before the election.
Sure. Yeah.
They had the goods on him in September.
I mean, they didn't arrest him.
They didn't arrest him. They've really gone by the book on this one. I wouldn't be calling this partisan bias myself, but yeah, whatever. The biggest thing to note, though, is that Carolyn Levitt flat out asserted he did not take the money. Ken Delanian, who's the reporter from MSNBC who broke this story, he's got some views about that. He said, the White House is now saying Tom Homan didn't take the $50,000 in cash. That was not part of their statement when we first went to them on Saturday. Multiple people familiar with the case say he did accept the money, as does an internal government document reviewed by MSNBC. Also, it's interesting, Lockie, that when it was time for Tom Homan to defend himself, when he turned up on the serious adversarial journalism, the Laura Ingraham show, he left out one key statement. See if you can work out what that statement is.
And they said that you took $50,000 in cash in a bag from an undercover FBI agent to help them win government contracts in Trump's second term. The DOJ said they concluded there was no criminal wrongdoing, but nevertheless, that story is out there, and I imagine you want to respond to that.
Oh, absolutely. Look, I did nothing criminal. I did nothing illegal. And there's hit piece after hit piece after hit piece. And I'm glad the FBI and DOJ came out and said, said that nothing illegal happened and nothing, no criminal activity. You're talking about a guy who spent 34 years enforcing the law. I mean, I left a very successful business that I ran to come back and work for a government again. I'm back on a government paycheck. Not only did I sacrifice my family sacrifices, I make sacrifices every day. I got more death threats than anybody. I got a security team around me, but guess what? My kids don't. My wife don't. I mean, I haven't lived with my wife in months because I don't want her to be here right now with all the threats. So after all the sacrifices, after serving my nation for all these years, they want to come on and dirty me up. And it's not going to end. There's a hit piece on me every 2 weeks. But keep coming, because you know what? Tom Homan isn't going anywhere. Tom Homan isn't shutting up. And Tom Homan's going to keep doing what he's doing, because working with President Trump's the greatest honor of my life. We're making this country safer again every day, and we're going to keep doing it.
Also, Tom, I was going to keep talking in third person. But what he's not going to be doing is denying that he took the money.
The cash, yeah.
That's the statement that's missing. He didn't say, I didn't take the money. He just said, I didn't, no wrongdoing, no criminality.
Are you sure he didn't say that?
That's true.
It's hard
That's
to
true.
tell.
How could we know? That's true. He just forgot to deny the actual allegation, which is very interesting. Maybe he didn't forget. Bear in mind, he's on tape, and MSNBC saw actual DOJ documents about this operation. So I suspect Tom Homan might be a bit dodgy. On the other hand, we should note, if we look at the quote from MSNBC about what happened during the sting, Homan took, quote, $50,000 in cash after indicating he could help the agents who were posing as business executives with win government contracts in a second Trump administration. Indicating. He didn't say that or promise that or agree to that. He indicated that. Why no quotes? The guys on video, they have the quotes. Why didn't they have any quotes of the critical moment? Why do they describe it as indicating? That's a strangely vague description for a key piece of information.
Yeah.
I'm a bit sus about that.
Okay.
But yeah, doesn't mean there's anything to it, but just that made my ears prick up.
Sure.
I suppose I was reading it, so that made my eyelashes prick up. Not everyone's sus about it, though. Megyn Kelly, oh my God, she's not sus. She tweeted out, "We do not care! Don't bother Tom Homan. He's a national treasure." I think she means he's obtained national treasures in crumpled up shopping bags. I did want to point out, though, that while this may be a big scandal for people other than Megyn Kelly, the law is not so clear-cut. There's no reason to think he might have gone to jail if Kash Patel wasn't doing him favours. MSNBC asked legal experts about a situation similar to the Homan probe, hypothetically. Okay. Taking a $50,000 bribe sounds pretty bad, especially when it's cash in a bag. That's not a good sign. But they said a person who promises a favour when they become a public official can't be charged under the federal bribery statutes until they're named or appointed to the actual official post. If you say, "Oh, I'm gonna be the president," but you're a nobody, and someone gives you $50,000,
right?
That's not a bribe. You're nobody
because you're not the president.
No,
sure.
When you become the president, if you reiterate the deal, then maybe you got a problem. But when you're just a nobody who may or may not end up in a position, then that's not a bribery deal. Like that's wishful thinking. That's what that is.
On both parties.
Yeah, totally. And it's not against the law to accept cash. You can accept cash. If some idiot wants to give you lots of money, then take it. That's fine. If he was a government official, that would be evidence of a quid pro quo, then you might have a problem. But he wasn't. Okay.
But what if, I mean, maybe you're about to answer that. What if it's very, very certain that he's going to be?
It's still not.
Still doesn't apply.
Still doesn't apply.
Okay.
Now, there is a way you can charge a private citizen with conspiracy to commit bribery.
Okay.
They're conspiring right now that they will commit bribery when he's in a position to commit bribery. You could charge him with that. But there's another problem. Mm-hmm. You can't conspire with an undercover agent. To have a conspiracy, both the parties need to be actually conspiring. If one of them is only pretending to conspire to entrap you, then that's not an actual conspiracy. That's a fake conspiracy. That's not conspiracy under the law. So I don't see how they charge this guy. Then you got the fact that the Supreme Court has made it almost impossible to convict anyone of bribery, even when it's really obvious.
That's where I thought this was going.
Yeah, well, there is that as well. That's the fallback for them, for Tom Homan. So as bad as this looks, as much of a legitimate scandal it is, maybe Kash Patel's right to say this ain't going anywhere.
There's no credible evidence.
Let's just cut it off. Especially since we don't know what other investigating has happened. We're assuming they did nothing. Do we know that? No, we don't. Maybe Homan didn't follow up when he was in power. Or maybe he's dirty as all hell. We have no idea. So that is the story of Tom Homan. Now, I got about 7 minutes, something like that. So I'm going to give you one of the immigration stories that's just hanging over me at the moment. Okay, I want to tell you about some dodgy arrests. We just got an insight into how dodgy much of the enforcement for immigration has been lately. You might recall a few months back, I played you a clip of the plaintiff in this case. His name was Jason Gavidia. He was being accosted by police. Do you remember a guy being thrown against a chain fence and ICE demanding to know which hospital he was born in?
Yeah.
And the guy said, I was born in America. I don't know the hospital. All right. On June the 12th in East LA, these ICE agents with military-style rifles, they told him to stop right there. And that, like you saw, they repeatedly asked him, are you American? And he said, I'm American. And then they asked him what hospital he was born in. He said he didn't know the hospital. They pushed him against the fence. They put his hands behind his back and they twisted his arm. And they asked him again, what hospital were you born in? He said, I don't know. And he told them, I'm in East LA. I was born in East LA. And then he told them, I can show you my ID. And the agents took his ID out and they took his phone and they kept his phone for 20 minutes and they never returned the ID. They've still got the ID to this day. As a result of that case, a California court in July issued an order that federal law enforcement may not rely solely on 4 factors when detaining someone suspected of being an illegal immigrant. These are the 4 factors.
That they can't rely on.
They can't rely on just these 4 factors or some combination of them.
Okay.
They need something else. These are the 4 factors. These can be part of your deliberation, but not the entirety of your deliberation. 1, their apparent race or ethnicity. 2, the fact that they either speak Spanish or speak English with an accent. 3, their presence at a location, such as an agricultural workplace or day labourer pickup site. 4, the type of work that they do. You can't use just those 4 factors. You need at least a 5th factor.
One other thing to profile people on.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you can't just profile them solely on the
fact they're working at a Home Depot.
Yeah, or they've got a Latino accent.
Yeah.
Something like that. Okay. In other words, you can't racially profile. No surprise. Racial profiling is clearly against the law. Here's what's interesting though. After that court order banning racial profiling was handed down, ICE arrests in LA reduced by 66%. So until then,
every
ICE
agent.
There's a lot of racial profiling going on.
Whoa.
Look at that graph. That graph is stark. The numbers have fallen off a cliff after the ban on racial profiling. And if we focus only on ICE arrests of immigrants from Latin countries who were not criminals, if we add up them all together and just focus on all those people who didn't have deportation orders, didn't have criminal charges, didn't have convictions, but they were arrested on the street. If we look at just them, in the 2 weeks after the court order came down, arrests of those people declined by 83%. From 351 in the week before the court order to 60. So that gives you some kind of idea of the kind of operation these guys were running.
Wow.
If they didn't know for a fact they had a criminal record,
that didn't matter.
Then they were racial profiling them.
Wow. I mean, there's a level of it that's unsurprising.
But 83% is a very high level.
Huge.
Yeah. Now that is all, at least of course, until the injunction came down or the ban came down. And then the Supreme Court overturned that injunction.
Oh, okay.
That was a couple of weeks ago now. So racial profiling's back. The Supreme Court overturned the injunction 6-3, we believe. You never know with these numbers of emergency applications. It's one of those temporary court situations where they're going to have the case over the next year or so, but they want to know whether they could stop the racial profiling continuing in the meantime. The court said no by some majority, either 5-4 or 6-3, I guess. We don't know what the majority's reasons were. It's shadow docket, emergency case. They don't give reasons. They don't give reasons. It's a temporary reason, a temporary ruling. They will provide a fuller ruling next year. Sure. Okay. Don't expect the result to be different, though. I'm pretty sure the result is what the result's going to be. Brett Kavanaugh, however, did America the honour of explaining his thoughts, at least as a member of the majority, which he is. Good on him. He didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
He just thought, I don't like all these temporary rulings with no reasoning.
Yeah. What did he have to say?
He said, whether an officer has reasonable suspicion depends on the totality of the circumstances. Here, those circumstances include that there is an extremely high number and percentage of illegal immigrants in the Los Angeles area, that those individuals tend to gather in certain locations to seek daily work, that those individuals often work in certain kinds of jobs such as day labour, landscaping, agriculture and construction, that they do not require paperwork and therefore are especially attractive to illegal immigrants. And that many of those illegally in the Los Angeles area come from Mexico or Central America and do not speak much English. Under this court's precedents, not to mention common sense, those circumstances taken together can constitute at least reasonable suspicion of a legal presence in the United States. It's not unreasonable.
It does sound a bit like, well, to be fair, they do, they do all work there.
Well, let's look at the numbers.
Sure.
Jason Richwine from National Review, and by the way, big-time immigration restrictionist, so you might not believe his numbers. But Jason Richwine actually crunched Kavanaugh's numbers for him.
Okay.
And he found, as of the 2019 to 2023 period, 17% of all landscaping and groundskeeping workers in America were illegal immigrants. In LA, a landscaping worker had a 30% chance of being illegal. A Hispanic landscaping worker in LA has a 33% chance of being illegal. A Hispanic landscaping worker in LA who speaks English less than very well has a 42% chance of being illegal. And if we change the job to construction labourers, we get construction labourers in the US in the 2019 to 2023 period in Los Angeles who have Hispanic ethnicity and low English ability. 52% of them are illegal immigrants. So it's better than a 50-50 chance. So do you think it's racist to be
Do I think racial profiling is still bad, even if the numbers are there?
Yeah,
yes, I do still think
yeah.
racial profiling is
Yeah.
not a way that you should be operating as the immigration enforcement.
Kavanaugh says, importantly, reasonable suspicion means only that immigration officers may briefly stop the individual and inquire about immigration status. If the person's a US citizen or otherwise lawfully in the United States, that individual will be free to go after the brief encounter. Only if the person is illegally in the United States may the stop lead to further immigration proceedings.
They are free to go without their ID.
Yeah, if they're lucky. Because Sotomayor called bullshit on that, I think,
Yeah.
rightly.
Okay.
She said immigration agents are not conducting brief stops for questioning, as the concurrents would like to believe. They're seizing people using firearms, physical violence, and warehouse detentions. Nor are undocumented immigrants the only ones harmed by the government's conduct. United States citizens are also being seized, taken from their jobs, and prevented from working to support themselves and their families. Honestly, I think she's being mild there. I think it's worse than that. Citizens are being seized for days and getting roughed up as well. Sotomayor says, we should not have to live in a country where the government can seize anyone who looks Latino, speaks Spanish, and appears to work a low-wage job. Rather than stand idly by while our constitutional freedoms are lost, I dissent. So I guess you're on Sotomayor's side of this one?
Even if the odds are 50%.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, then I get an alien. It's still 50% not an alien.
I agree. I think racial profiling is racist. That's what I think, by definition. But you know what? I think there is an angle on this that some people haven't considered. which is when it comes to racial preferences in universities, the left say, we're not being racist. These are just some relevant considerations that we're taking into account when we decide whether we want them in our college. We're just taking into account the race. It's not everything. We're just taking into account, that's all.
Is this during application?
Yeah.
Or? Right, yeah.
And so, but when it comes to immigration, it's the right saying, we're not being racist. These are just some relevant considerations that we're taking into account. To me, it's quite similar. Sotomayor is saying, no, there should be no racism when she's talking about racial profiling. But when she's talking about racial preferences in uni, she's saying, no, well, hang on, this is very complicated, and there's lots of this is just one set of considerations.
Is this for foreign students? Sorry, I'm still
no. This is until recently Harvard and these quite prestigious universities had racial quotas.
Right. Okay.
Sure. Like you were more likely to get in
if you were
black.
Okay. Right. I didn't know that going in.
But it's just one consideration. That's all. So what they're basically mirror images of each other. These two arguments. Like when you're talking about immigration, it's the right saying. Well, look, we're considering a lot of different things, but one of them is race, and it's relevant. And the left is saying you should never discriminate on race. But when we're talking about applications for college, it's the left saying, well, there are a lot of different considerations we consider about whether you qualify for our college, and one of them is race. And it's the right saying, no, you never discriminate on race.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
I do see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I do also see a difference between you get kicked out of the country and you get to study at our university.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough. Look, as far as I'm concerned, these two positions are basically mirror images of each other. And I think you should either support affirmative action and racial profiling or support neither of them. I support neither of them. I don't think there should be racial profiling. And I don't think there should be affirmative action in universities. At least not race-based affirmative action. I don't mind class-based affirmative action. That's different.
Sure. Yes.
Yeah, like poor people.
Yeah. Yes.
So the net result, regardless, is that racial profiling is back, baby. At least for now.
Did it ever go?
Yeah, barely. And and I imagine the arrests are back up in LA as well. Lockie, we're out of time. So I will see you next week, sir.
We'll see you next week, Peppers.
See you then. Till then, stay peppy.